Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. These are your hosts, Lowell.
Yes, correct.
I thought I just called it by a new name.
No,
Pastor
sir.
Percival and Minette at the microphone. Good morning to those who have joined us on air and online. Morning, Earl. Morning, Conrad. Oh, and Miss Palmer. I see Miss Palmer is at home saying good morning. She is supposed to be with me in studio. All right, good to know. Miss
Who's that?
Palmer is Miss Eden.
Oh, Miss.
I'm like, Miss Palmer?
No, I should
Is
have
that
been
one of
Mrs.
yours or
Palmer.
one of mine?
Mine, yes. Good morning.
Yeah, but good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and I guess the mothers are exhausted, and those who are caring for the mothers are probably exhausted too.
Why
So,
the mothers be exhausted? But it would be the day
mm,
that they get up, they don't do anything at all. They are pampered, treated well.
yeah, being pampered is hard work.
It is. Oh,
Mm.
oh, that's a revelation. So, is the producer?
Having to,
Is
can
that
you
is a
imagine?
revelation that is happening today?
Can you imagine the many mothers who were restraining themselves from jumping in and just doing it the right way?
Yeah, and I think
Hard work, you know. It's
I
hard
think
work.
that was that really is very hard work. As you
Hard
said
work.
that um
Yeah,
on Mother's Day at our church
yeah.
over in Portmore, my wife shared, and that was so funny, because she was there giving tips to ladies, and she said one of the things that is most important is self care, taking care of yourself. Some of the times, and she made a confession that some of the times you can make some of the thing them pass, because if you keep doing it, you are going to exhaust yourself. And I found that so funny.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You want it done a certain way, and the person doing it, but then how they going to learn how to do it? If they
And
don't.
you have some persons who know that yeah, if you do it bad enough, she will come in and say, just let me do it myself. And
So that is the other ploy.
yeah, you see them.
That is the other
Oh yeah,
ploy. No,
man.
my God. But no, we love our mothers. We appreciate our mothers. I visited my mom yesterday, and my other siblings were getting ready to take her out. So she took a picture with us. Yeah, I said, okay. Because it is indeed, mothers are blessings to us. Um, and last week, as I was saying, our mothers, the women of the world, are so very important in terms of the scheme of things that happens. And a lot of them, I believe, um, do not understand the power that they have, the influence that they have over us, and in terms of pointing us in the right direction. So we applaud all mothers today, and today I begin with a simple scripture I think that everybody knows. Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct thy path. So, for the mothers and everybody today, I just invite you to continue to trust in the Lord, and he will direct your path. The situations might seem very daunting and wanting to overcome you. I know a lot of mothers are in that situation when they think of all of the things that they have to do, and a lot of them operate on minimum wage, which we know is not a living wage anyhow. But somehow the God of the world, the God of creation, makes a way in terms of giving you direction in terms of how you need to respond. I also remind them that you can lean on Him, and He will give you what you need in the situation, the grace to overcome, because indeed it is His intention for you to prosper and to do well as a mother, as a woman in the nation today. Continue to trust.
Well, it's interesting that these some of these comments and this certainly the acknowledgement of mothers, the importance of mothers, um, is we're coming into these discussions after we've done the discussions about daughters. If your daughters turn to prostitution,
Mhm.
the condemnation that afflicts the country, and then we did International Women's Day, focusing on well, one, the elimination of violence against women,
Hmm.
having to do with the security of women and the security of the family unit as a whole.
Yeah. So.
This look at the importance of mothers now, because being a mother is only one of the hats that women wear,
Hmm.
and looking at motherhood during the month when we are celebrating children, and also considering the importance of children, um, the twinning of the two
Hmm.
is significant, and there are some things that we are going to talk about today which emphasize the importance of this particular relationship, that is, mother child and then society mother.
Yeah.
All right, but we're right up on the break, so um, we won't go any deeper into it until we come back. Please stay with us. This is the Morning Connection.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi style?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, at 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and me check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
You big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
Try calling him, guys. Trust me.
Winters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
Ah, what a relief.
Easy! Let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, lies prefer to truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Don, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith. God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record label at Gmail. Almighty Jah!
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best FM.
Welcome back, and thank you again for joining us. I'm still reflecting somewhat on all of the sentiments expressed and the focus on mothers yesterday, coming as it has after we've begun looking at children.
Hmm.
And last week, I expressed the view that the true existential threat that humanity faces concerns our children, whether we have them, how we treat them when we have them. We know there's been a lot of talk about what the Americans are doing with regards to women's rights and freedoms, touching and concerning the matter of um, termination of pregnancy.
Hmm. And I like how you framed the discussion last week. I thought it was a different part that you took. Well, you and I agree that it is a moral decision, not a legal one. But even in terms of the legal aspect of it, we see a lot of countries that have decided, well, it's not a part of what is happening in the society. So it is our right to do what we want. But then, in terms of the fact that if they continue on that path, then how does that society continue to move along? Because if you don't have children, what you going
Kind
to
of a
do?
no-brainer.
You understand? So it was interesting, and I think it caused a lot of people to really think even more in regards to how do we deal with this as a society on a whole? I see where in the paper it has come up again. There's an editorial on it in the Gleaner this morning. But before you do that, I it has just become so very strong in my consciousness and in my mind in terms of women and mothers and the role that they play in terms of even a lot of the things that are happening presently with the crime and violence, with the corruption and so on, that our women, our mothers are a very important cog in terms of trying to fix it where it begins really at the home in terms of how we treat with the issues of respect for yourself and respect for others and how you are nurtured and how important that is to you. And so I'm I'm glad that we had that discussion, and I think we need to continue to have that discussion as individuals, as communities, as a nation, because I think that if we if if we fix or we rethink the narrative in terms of how we are treating our women, a lot of the problems that we are facing as a society, I think they'll just not disappear overnight, but they'll be fixed and sustained in the long term. And it's important too to note that this year Mother's Day is in the month of May as per usual, and 5 is a number of grace, but also it happened on the 8th day of the month, and the 8 represents new beginnings. And so I'm just suggesting, I was asked to pray yesterday at church in regards to the mothers. And you know what verse just came up into my mind? Luke 4:18. Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me. Um, a lot of women are broken. A lot of women are in captivity. But to declare to them that indeed this year it is the year of the Lord's favor in your life. A lot of mothers are mourning over the loss of their sons, over the loss of broken dreams. A lot of them are in captivity in terms of how they see themselves in their mind. And just to declare that God, in this time, in this season, has chosen to favor you, if nobody else. As a mother, as a woman, that is what I am sensing that God is declaring to the mothers and the women in this nation. It is indeed a new beginning coming out of COVID, and and it's highlighted how important in terms of the socialization of our children is your time, favor, um, and trust in God, and He will help you to overcome because indeed you are more than a conqueror this morning. What says you, my friend?
Well, you drew my attention to the editorial, the Gleaner editorial. Where's the Termination of Pregnancies Act? Is how it is headed. And I was taking a look at it to see the perspective from which they're coming, because truly, sometimes the Gleaner editorial is quite surprising.
It's quite surprising.
Yes, it doesn't always. Well, I don't always find favor with the
What they do.
opinions that are expressed and so on. I think sometimes just
They're aligned.
they're way off the mark. This morning, consistent with the focus that we've taken from last week, that these choices that women make about fertility, about the care with which they choose their partners, and the level of responsibility that is shown towards the results of unwise choices, let's put it that way. They are not legal issues. They are issues of morality which need to be treated with in a particular way. There are a number of things that we seek to legislate, and we approach legislation without the correct level of thought or without sometimes the proper foundation. This issue having to do with, really, it has to do with the confidentiality of a woman's search for medical care, or whatever issue you might be having. When you go to a doctor and the doctor says, this is your condition, and it's a condition that you're not prepared to to accept or to live with. Decisions are taken in the privacy of your medical consultation. Typically, those matters don't even rise for public discussion at all. Typically, whatever those decisions are, they will come to the attention of the public if they have wider implications. So, for example, suppose the law says that men have some enforceable right in the child that is in utero. Then a doctor could be put under, and I'm not suggesting it, a doctor could be put under a regulatory requirement that whenever a woman presents with a certain situation, she must name an individual who has to be included, right, in the consultation, which would be novel for this kind of issue, because even when persons present with sexually transmitted diseases and are under some kind of moral suasion to name their partners so you can contact individuals, even when persons present with communicable disease like the virus of COVID-19, when they need to do track and trace, there's no law that can compel an individual to say, well, I was in this room and these are the persons who were there. Sometimes you don't even know the names of all the individuals with whom you might have come in contact. And one of the things that is fundamental to the operation of law is that the law does not act in futility. So you cannot reasonably, or you ought not to at all, impose an obligation on citizens which they are unable to fulfill with certainty, and the law cannot prosecute it, because if you place an obligation somewhere, you must have a channel for enforcing and monitoring it. So some of these things cannot operate as a matter of law because they are incapable. Society has no ability to monitor it, to police it, to enforce what these requirements are. So it is when you go now into looking at the Termination of Pregnancies Act, or whatever you want to call it, it is why many see it as an invasion of privacy, because some of the information you would need to prosecute it, you can only get it by committing another offense, invading someone's privacy, for example. So we have to focus our effort on building from without. This is outside the law, ensuring that people are learning the right precepts, are developing the right attitudes towards both their body, their personal relationships, and their relationship with society, because it is society that benefits the most or suffers the most when children are not properly taken care of, or when they are properly taken care of. So this focus on what happens in Parliament. What happens in Parliament is supposed to touch on concern, harm and injury to individuals and to the society. So, for example, the editorial is emphasizing the point that women who can afford safe access to medical care during that time, it's not an issue, and perhaps it's why it's not a bigger issue in Jamaica, because the majority of women who perhaps need to take those decisions can find a way to safe care. The editorial focuses on poor women. It is saying that
it is, I think, really, some of the times that is used as a red herring.
To say it's poor women.
Yes. In across the thing, because whether you're poor or rich or not, it always goes back to decision of your will and your right. Okay, like what's happening with the indigenous people, the right to self-determination and so on. I'm just wondering about that in terms that they keep focusing on poor women. Poor women. Is that a good thing?
Well, the first thing is, if a woman goes somewhere and that is, if you go to someone who is not licensed or who does a bad medical service on your body and you are injured, you are the victim Doesn't matter that you went there to procure a service that is unlawful. Let's put it that way. You are still the victim of an injury or an assault or whatever you want to call it. It is still an offense against the person, your person, if you are butchered in the course of procuring some service which the doctor ought not to be given to be giving you. So a law currently, I think what needs to happen in Jamaica, the law that says a woman can be imprisoned for life at hard labor if she procures an abortion. That law should have been abolished a long time. That's a law that makes no sense to my mind, and that as we go through and clean up, that's a separate issue from how you deal with medical care that women need. You see, just like how they took away the act that criminalized marijuana, but did not replace it with one that legitimizes it. That's what needs to be done with that. Same thing for the bugger law. I think any activity, any human activity that has been criminalized out of in an era when there was no clear understanding of human rights, essential human rights and dignity. And any law which sought to criminalize human activity through some system that involves the commission of a breach of the person's fundamental rights, those laws should simply be abolished. That's the first step. If you choose to replace it with something, that becomes a different conversation. That's my position on it, because the things that touch on concern morality, which were made the subject of legislation, we should shut those down. But if you're going to have a replacement now that seeks to legitimize as if it is promoting a certain activity, that is as bad as the day when you were criminalizing it. Whatever happens between consenting adults in the privacy of their home should not be a matter of legislation.
Okay. And that is your stated position.
That is my position on it. And it's a principle that I advance without descending into specifics, because then you begin to make moral choices about what behavior versus what behavior should be the subject of legislation. Does that make sense?
I understand that.
Yeah.
But in terms of what is happening in the present realm, and it's something I must personally say that I've grappled with from a perspective of, okay, in Romans, it speaks to homosexuality and all of that. And it says, no, man has been given free choice to choose.
Freedom to choose.
Freedom to choose.
Yes.
And if the freedom to choose is resulting in behavior that really is destructive in the long term, not only for you, but in the society, as a society, what do we do in terms of dealing with that?
But so the question becomes, always, it's law versus morality. So to me, those are moral choices that people make. And moral choices, the guidance for moral choices come out of the training and the teaching and the priority that you put on certain things. That's how you approach it. And then you let the person choose. You're having invested the teaching in them. Matters that come down to legality have no conscience, no morality to it. It becomes a matter of black and white. And it is why, it's why Christ came. Because law is inflexible. If the law demands this, there is no quarter to be given. It is what it is. And it's why even in the theological sense, it is understood that sin exists because of law.
Right, because the law...
If there was no law,
then
there'd be no sin.
Right.
Because anything you do would be okay. Nothing speaks against it. But once you create laws, you now leave room for persons to breach the law, because anything that goes contrary to the law has broken the law.
And so it reverts to, will you respond to the love of God or you reject it? So ultimately, what is happening to us, and it says you always have to make choice. Narrow is the
Every
way that
day.
leads to narrow
Yeah, narrow
narrow
is the
the
way.
way that leads to
Wide is the road that leads to destruction. You
wow.
can move from side to side.
So what it is saying, if we are following the natural course of the discussion, God says in Psalms 89 that its throne is built upon righteousness
And
and
justice.
justice, and mercy and truth are a part of that whole thing.
Hmm.
So he says, here's a path you can choose, but remember your choices will have consequences, not only on you personally, but in regards to society
Society, your
and a whole.
environment.
And
Yeah.
the question is, which is what we need to to, to answer is, do we intervene by use of the law to ensure that boundaries are set, or we just let everything just go on, run with it, as somebody once said?
So there's a point at which you can intervene naturally. And like in the discussion about abortion to legitimize or not, the point at which you intervene is where an offense against a person has been committed. There's a woman who is bleeding and presenting in the public hospital now because she went somewhere, something went wrong. She goes home, she's shamed, she don't say anything, her family find her bleeding in the room. I'm just creating a scenario. And they take her to the public hospital. When she gets to the hospital, it is clear on presentation that she has been treated by a doctor, because you can tell when somebody do something on their own versus when a person with skill has attempted a procedure. In interviewing her, you discover that she went to Dr. So and Dr. So was conducted a procedure, and this is the result. She might not tell you that I went to him because of X problem. She might just say, I went to the doctor and this is how I am now. Now, you tell me, if you want to deal with Dr. So and so, who presumably would be the greater danger to society, wouldn't you say? One woman doing something to herself is a different risk from a medical doctor or an unlicensed person who has set up shop to do various things.
Or a
Maybe
licensed person?
or a licensed person. Maybe his lack of skill has been evident in many other procedures that harmed others, but you don't hear of it because it is not one of the hot topic procedures. Maybe there's somebody who lost a breast or a leg or because of his bad work. He is a far greater danger to society. But if you are intent on extracting information from the woman which would place her at risk and which would cause her now to condemn herself in her own voice, the Constitution says that you're entitled to remain silent and not to incriminate yourself. So when you put an injured person under the pressure or the risk of incriminating themselves, that doctor is going to go continue doing what he's doing until, his hands can't move or his eyesight fails him. Point I'm making is that for you to enter legislation, for you to place legislation that might cause the injured person to shut up about their injury is a greater harm to society. So the law will find a place when an injured person presents at a public institution with a problem that needs fixing, because we say we have free medical care.
Yeah, but
So more likely than not, the person that the Gleaner editorial is talking about, the poor woman who can't go to a good doctor and have her procedure done safely, she will end up at a public hospital and there will be an inquiry. How did you get this way? Is that the time to penalize her, or is that the time to treat her as you would any other victim, whether it's a victim of rape or a victim of, wounding, and say, tell me how this happened to you so we can investigate it and present a solution to the society. When we stop being so judgmental and using parliament as a hammer to crush the rights of people, you'll find that one, you'll get more out of people who have to give you the information so you can act, and you'll actually present real solutions.
yeah. So that is at the individual level.
Well, it's also at the societal
Yeah,
level
but
because the doctor is two persons are in the event, you know. There
No,
are two
no, I know
persons.
that is very
Yeah.
clear to me, but I'm seeking to introduce even into this discussion, this dialogue what we're having. So how do you, as a society, deal with the mores and because
And
you
values.
yeah
You
because you
teach.
yeah you teach and you teach, but what if you're teaching and they're not getting through? What do you do?
What you do with a student who is in class and not learning?
No, 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 no. I'm talking in terms of that. That's individually as a student. I'm just thinking, all right,
But
you are.
but it's the sum total of individuals
Yes,
that
but
make up
understand
this
that.
the problem in
But I'm
society.
saying, law in itself
Hmm.
helps to set boundaries, and those laws that you said have come out of the values of your country. That's
Hmm.
correct. And you are saying, okay, so you have a Muslim society, you have a Christian society, you have a Hindu society. And one of the things that which comes into question in terms of the moral, where does life begin? Where does life begin? And based on what people believe, based on their faith question, that is how they enact the laws and the thing. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that does
And
happen.
I'm just thinking eh, big picture in terms of the rules that emerge in terms of how do we set boundaries and guide our people. That as a leader, you're looking and you're saying, you know, if we continue this way, we're gonna walk the street happily like the pipe piper down to destruction. You see it coming as a leader because that is why vision is important. What do you do in regards to that?
Um, all right, I don't want us to.
Not
It's
just
an important
get
issue,
you, yeah.
but
I'd fund it. I'm just
yeah.
putting
I
it out
want to.
there. I'm
I
just
want.
putting it out
Yeah.
there. You don't have to
No,
respond.
man. I want to summarize the discussion in this way. There are many responsibilities that leaders of our society and individuals have towards society as an independent construct, meaning you see yourself with individual rights, but you must see the whole distinct from yourself as having some need of protection also because it is to your individual benefit that there is a society that provides for certain things and monitors certain things. Sometimes there's a conflict between your individual right and the rights and obligations as you perceive them in the social setting. But it is a symbiotic relationship in the sense that for the society to thrive and achieve certain objectives, it also must respect and give back to the individual. So now you have one woman with one pregnancy looking at her personal ambitions and desires, considering what she wants to do for herself, but then looking at a society that may be an aging society, that might be a violent society, that might be a prosperous society. So she looks at the society and factors into her thinking about her personal circumstance. When I do this, what impact will it have? You might have one woman saying, if I keep this child and this child is condemned to life in Jamaica, in this community or that community, or this is what happens to people who look like my child, if you're in a place where there's racism, the woman is considering what future am I projecting, or what can I am I envisaging for this child? What she sees in the society will affect her thinking. Now you're saying to me that such a woman, or you're putting in the equation, might such a woman taking into account that, well, if I don't have this child, then the society might well die faster. If I don't have this child, the society might lose a potential great leader that can transform it. If I don't have this child, how will the society be impacted by the decision? Versus if I have this child, I can't afford it. It stopped me right here in my tracks. This child going to grow up in the ghetto and suffer. There's nobody to really even take this child off my hands if I bring it to term, because the adoption agencies, the state care, the level of social. Let me tell you something. I wouldn't have a child in Jamaica now. If I were sitting at a table to make such a decision, I would not. I do not see in the society anything so positive and uplifting that I would say I am doing this.
Okay.
So the decision to have a child really has to be very personal, and it has to be based on the family unit that you have, and it has to be based on your view of what God desires and about life. It is personal. It is not a matter of law. Nobody should be thinking whether I have this child or not depend on if the law find out what I do.
Okay.
We're at the break.
To be having the break, but
yeah.
interesting. Yes, sir.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
The CPFSA has a new mascot and they're taking him to school. So grab your backpack and join Mr. Protector on his inaugural adventures. Decked out in green and gold with the Jamaican flag for a cape, Mr. Protector paid a visit to students in St. Anne recently. As part of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, the CPFSA's Child Protection School Tour, dubbed Mr. Protector Goes to School. Director of Children and Family Programs at the CPFSA, Warren Thompson, says the initiative, which targets children at the primary and infant level, aims to promote the government's child safety services, tailoring the message to inspire action and advocacy at all levels.
Now things are opening up, and we decided to celebrate or to observe Child Month by going around and really bringing Mr. Protector to the students in schools. So we are starting with Bamboo Primary, and we are ensuring that every single region will see our mascot.
Mr. Protector's origin story began in 2019 when the agency launched a mascot design competition and invited students to submit their ideas. 11-year-old Bamboo Primary and Junior High School student Richard Small won the contest with his Mr. Protector Super Rabbit design. But before the young buck could hit the streets, COVID-19 drew everything to a halt. With face-to-face classes back on, he is now making the rounds at schools spreading the message of protection, with special emphasis on the CPFSA's 211 child abuse hotline. Screams of excitement punctuated the air as students from primary and infant schools across northeast St. Anne came face to face with the mascot. Taking it all in, a soft-spoken Richard Small says he was delighted to have copped the winning design from the pool of 91 entries submitted.
I felt great and proud of myself because I like drawing. I put a lot of hard work in it, miss and tried to work my best.
He says he plans to put his design skills to good use, outlining plans to become an artist or an architect. Freehill Primary student Javon McNeish says he felt inspired when he discovered that Mr. Protector had come from the mind of a child just like him.
I feel good because they told me that it was a child that encouraged me a lot.
He had this message for children who may be suffering in silence.
If you are any child at all going through mental abuse, physical abuse, dial 211. You don't have to have credit. You don't have to do that. Or if you cannot reach to any phone, you can just go to the nearest police station for a call.
Grade 6 student Ashley Robinson shared similar sentiments, adding that it was important for children not to suffer, but to speak out.
It was very beneficial to the students so that they can know that if something is happening at home or anywhere, that you can feel comfortable and safe to tell the agency, and that you can tell your teachers, the principal, or your guidance counselor.
Vice Principal of Bamboo Primary and Junior High School, Trevor McKenzie, welcomed the tour.
Today's occasion is one that we have been waiting for in anticipation because we heard you were coming, and I am certain that the children are happy to have you here because, in Jamaica we know of what is happening where children are concerned, and the children are aware of what is happening to them also. So having you come in here, the children are more aware of some of the things that they should do or can do as it relates to child abuse.
He stressed that the work would continue to identify possible cases of abuse among students, noting that the CPFSA's tour has provided the necessary impetus for starting what can be a difficult conversation with youngsters.
We do HPLE at school, and so when we have things like these, we incorporate in our HPLE class, in our guidance class, and so on. And we also have our WhatsApp group.
The island-wide Child Protection Sensitization Tour forms part of Child Month activities, being held under the theme, Listen Up, Children's Voices Matter.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Vejan Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vejan Printers, your best choice in printing.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is already pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Right, welcome back. I said all kinds of things, and then Pastor Percival posed a question about the power of law to shape society.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And how do you, as a leader, use that? Because
Right,
a prime minister once said it. Because Manley, in his advent in terms of the 70s, used law to shape a lot of things that were happening in our society in terms of the no bastard, no get there again. Those things which proved to be positive. And some people say, on the other hand, it promoted the movement from marriage to common law, more common law union. So, yeah. We never want to go there.
Yeah,
right?
no. I don't resist the natural direction in which the discussion goes, because we're talking about one, as I put it, the existential threat to humanity, and we are talking about morality versus law. Keyon Brown, I'm realizing it's Keyon. Sometimes it looks like Kevon. Anyway, Keyon Brown he has posed an issue, put it that way. He says morality is the theory that every human act must be either right or wrong, and that 99% of them are wrong. Is this so? Well, I don't know of that assumption or hypothesis or whatever you call it. But for my own purposes, I don't subscribe to that particular statement.
That morality is something right or wrong?
That it is a theory that every human act must be either right or wrong.
You're saying there's an in between?
Me? No, I'm saying I don't subscribe that
What
every
do you
act must be
subscribe
either
to?
right or wrong,
What do you
and
subscribe
that
to?
99% of them are wrong. Is this so?
So it's
Well,
first
I don't.
two points is making that
Yeah.
morality is either right or wrong. The
Yeah.
other part about the 99%, we don't know about that. But in
All right.
terms of understanding morality,
Okay, but understand that morality is situational and environmental all the time. What
So
is
there-
right in one situation, this exact same act that is right in one situation for one individual might be wrong in a similar situation
so
for a different so it's always situational and environmental
I
how
don't. I
people make choices.
I'm not sure I agree with you in regards to that because to kill somebody
Yeah.
is that right or wrong?
If it is in self-defense, it is very right.
Okay, all right.
So it
Some
is
people,
situational.
some people would say no, it is not. You kill somebody. That's why you can't. You must kill somebody.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what some people do. But anyway,
But can you separate it from the situation in which it is occurring? You walk into a room, a man is raping your daughter. What do? You hit him with something, he dies, right or wrong?
defense. But the fact that you hit him, you never intend. You're just trying to defend her.
Yeah, but that's so.
Somebody
but he's
dies as a
still dead.
result, yeah.
He's
But
still dead.
but you never. But it because the thing is, we were reading in Deuteronomy 18 about premeditated.
Hmm.
So premeditated murder is wrong.
So that is why it is situational. No, the first thing, once you say murder, murder is wrong. You said to take a life. So
Manslaughter.
murder is wrong because
Murder
it is
is considered
it
so
is
premeditated.
absolutely
Right.
It has a definition,
Right.
and the definition is what creates both the context of the situation. So I say it's situational and it's environmental because a child who uses a weapon that he has no idea the power of the weapon and it produces a result would be treated differently from an adult who should know better and use the same weapon. So it's situational, it's environmental. A well-educated person who does something that they ought to know shouldn't be addressed in that way will produce a different result from an uninformed, ignorant person who do the same thing. So once you begin to parse through those kinds of issues, I am not a person to take a statement that involves human conduct and just create a one size fits all.
Okay.
And this a statement that says morality is the theory that every human act must be either right or wrong and that 99% of them are wrong is not a statement that I for one would either try to support or defend.
Okay.
Or even to speak against it, except to say that our arrogance in
Introduce yourself.
setting those kinds of limits or levels and so on is what gets us into this kind of trouble.
Okay.
Not to say that you don't teach your children. You must be teaching your children something. And there's a
values.
point at which you say,
Framework.
when you see this, don't touch it. When you see that, you can't touch that. There's a point at which you
Right,
give
right.
instructions that are clear cut.
Is that morality?
No, that's training.
So, but what do you use as a basis for your training? How did you determine if
Yeah, all right, you're getting personal now, but
No,
I
no,
will
no,
say
no,
that
no, no,
you
no,
know
no,
that
no,
my
no.
faith,
No.
my faith is the center of my guidance on morality. My faith in God.
Okay.
But it might not be yours, and I would not penalize you for that. What I need to do when I'm in my home, my faith is my guide, and it is how I teach. That's it. Speaking on the radio, I don't impose my faith or the principles behind it on anyone. I speak openly and I hopefully freely. And if you hear something that makes sense, then there's usually a pathway to discovering more. And because I cherish greatly the statement we make here that persons are born empowered and free with certain rights that cannot be taken from them, those rights only leave you when you give them up. Because I am committed to that belief, then I try to be respectful of another person's rights and freedom. And so the question you asked about shaping society, Laws don't shape society, really. We try to use laws to shape morality.
Okay.
That's what we do. We try to say that because there's a law against it, you need to create a world in which you understand why that law is good and should be enforced.
Good.
A lot of us reject the laws that are in this country. It has not shaped our morality. The body of laws has not shaped our morality because we have lots of laws that we ignore, that what we don't ignore, we just outright disobey, including even some of the enforcers of the law.
You got into that.
Of course. I mean, when you have policemen who are gang members, when you have teachers who molest children,
True.
when you have pastors who do the same,
Yeah.
when you have politicians who steal from the public purse or enter into parliament and don't do their work, no accountability, they clearly don't have any respect for those laws. So their morality has not been shaped by it. And as a
Or them
consequence,
them choose to do otherwise.
they choose to do otherwise.
So in that regard, it hasn't shaped. But in terms of the general way that we see it, it has an impact in terms of how we would go then.
The law?
Yes.
Well, it ought to. And that's why it's so important that your laws make sense, and the ones that you're not enforcing or the ones that the people not into, you get rid of it. Because if we had to be assessed on our observance of the rule of law, and you take up 100 pieces of legislation and you evaluate how the society is responding to it, I think we would fail.
Yeah, because we're not obeying the rule of law. Yeah.
So you can't say that you observe the rule of law when 90% of your laws are too old for people to even know them. When they are enforced, nobody really pays it any mind or follows it. Some of them people downright disagree with and speak against it, and we still have it on the books. We would fail.
And I'm in agreement with you, because you have laws that you said, and it just yeah, it is true. I'm in agreement with that in terms of, but what is law a tool to be used in terms of socially?
But it should be the laws we pass should reflect our approval or disapproval of certain conduct.
Okay. And the approval of the approval of the conduct is based on what we as a society perceive to be the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. All right. So we're teasing it this morning, you pick that up. I'm not playing devil's advocate.
I think what we're doing is important because many persons struggle to find a right position on these issues, and they come at it kind of emotively, but can't pull up the arguments that have a foundation in either morality or law. And that's why they struggle in Parliament to address it. Because if you say decriminalize abortion, which is really the correct way to look at it, if you say decriminalize abortion, 10 people go and rise up and say, yeah, try legalize abortion. And are two different things.
They don't understand what you're trying to say.
And the persons who are addressing it in the House don't have the finesse to separate the issues and make it plain that when you decriminalize something, you have to look back at why it was criminalized in the first instance. Laws are supposed to be responding to the current situation in a society. So that's why you can amend them. That's why when you have a constitution that you can't change, you have a real problem. Because now it's suggesting that you need civil unrest in order to change it, meaning an abandonment of law, unless you're lucky like the BVI and England can tell you that they're suspending your constitution. That's strange kind of luck, but I'm being facetious. When you can't get stuck where it's difficult for you to address the current day activities because some law from way back when is still speaking. That's like the covenant and the wicked altars that you have to dismantle them.
Destroy them.
You have to destroy them
against them.
Right. So because persons who say, all right, I want to protect a woman's privacy and freedom to make certain decisions without the law looking over her shoulder. And they say, let's decriminalize this activity. If you decriminalize it, more likely than not, you would get a lot more information that would allow you to deal with those who are using it abusively and oppressively. Because no matter how extreme a state might be, everybody who looks at the issue of abortion say not after a certain period of time. And the debate is always about, well, what is that certain period of time? Can the lady come 9 months minus 2 days?
Guy!
You
But that has
understand?
been, you know, that has been passed in some states that they can come. But
No, no state is going to say you can come. What a state will do is step away from it. There is no state that's going to say you can come at 9 months, and no, the state is just going to leave it alone, respecting the fact that persons will take the decisions. When you're there before your doctor and a decision has to be made, some parameters within the medical fraternity will dictate how things are done. The state don't need to go as far as to say you can come this day or that day. Interestingly, on the weekend, my sister sent me a link to an article in some foreign press, speaking to the fact that Benjamin Franklin, in one of his early publications, more than 17 something,
200 years ago,
had a book. This book that he reissued, I think it's a math book, arithmetic, included a recipe for abortion. That's what they
saying.
It's because it was a book on arithmetic and all kinds of things. It is still available and used in the US. The book, that is. It had to do with measurements and quantities and whether it's time or dosage. And so it instructed generally on how to measure things and so on. And it included
the recipe. What it
yes.
mixed up to abort the child.
Absolutely, how many times and so on. And it had nothing to do with age. It was just, it spoke about unmarried women with a misfortune.
Again, it go back.
The journalist was making the point that how to do it, whether you can do it, it was never an issue in America. Whether you could do it, it was how to do it and to do it properly. And it has come down. And it's all herbal treatments, by the way. It's drink this and drink that. So listen, women in the know who understand what works for what will do, are doing, and will continue to do whatever they can do to help themselves.
Yeah, but to my mind, it always goes back to your view of things in terms of, as you've been pointing out, in terms of spirituality and that. It goes back to that. Whichever way you do in terms of why you choose to do it, why you choose not to do it, and in terms of your faith, your personal faith in this God and what He has asked you to do.
I had an interesting discussion with a young man on the weekend. He was saying that having gone to different church schools and being an altar boy at least one school, he really learned about sin in church. And he gave an example. He said,
when you say altar boy, just give away what denomination. Yeah.
Well.
Ush.
So he said that he has, as a student, he would see gifts come to the church for poor people. And a senior member in the church would just lock it away, keep it. And they, as young boys, would know that so-and-so have a need, and they would go into the place where it was locked away, and take from it and give. Yeah. And he felt that they were stealing. He says, they would steal it and give it to the right people, kind of like a Robin Hood.
Robin Hood mentality.
And so we started a little conversation, didn't go far because we were at dinner. We started a conversation about, was that really stealing? Because You took it from someone to whom it did not belong and who was themselves keeping it, let us say, unlawfully, and you gave it to the rightful beneficiary. So that conversation didn't go very far because we just didn't have time for it. But it kind of remained in my spirit that when you're making these choices, if you take from, if you, when you give to the person a thing that really belonged to them, but you have done it against the instruction of someone who was keeping it without cause, what have you
or plan
really
to give it
done?
to somebody else.
Or or use it or whatever.
Yeah, because you
Well,
you
in
are
this,
beginning to
yeah,
ascribe motive.
there you go.
Yeah,
So it becomes environmental and very
ascribe
much
motive because he
situational
never
because you
asked.
have to be thinking. So in their mind, they say, well, we took it without permission. We knew that he's the man who would give permission. And we knew we didn't have permission. We took it and we gave.
I've never asked him to say, so and so.
But they had over time, in the narrative, they had over time seen that what this man did was keep it for himself.
Okay.
So they observe and they make a decision.
Based
And
on
now we're talking about it. Was that stealing?
Interesting.
So you see what I'm saying? All right. There are some other things that we do need to talk about. 7:25, 5 minutes to go. One of them, of course, is the issue of tribal sovereignty. And I mention international cooperation again because when an indigenous group of persons living within the structure of another society, when issues arise in their discrete community and they involve the neighboring state, let me call it that, I am calling it international cooperation. And why this is on my mind, really, there are two things that happened recently which require us to consider these matters carefully. The first is the arrest of the BVI premier. I said at the time that it is clear that the United States government has had enough of certain things, and per my suspicion, revelation, whatever you want to call it, that between the UK and the US, Jamaica is the US's problem to clean up. Because we still have a relationship with the Queen, we have a Governor General, yet the US is forever in our waters doing things. We have the most technical cooperation arrangements with them. Whatever is happening in Jamaica, the US have an opinion, and sometimes too, they actually speak it publicly. And they've been
Remember what
right.
happened with the indigenous?
Well,
when it came out early
I'm going further back. Carousel. They spoke against carousel. They cancelled visas, pushing the government to take certain decisions concerning carousel. And we see time and again the US. Most recently, we saw their utterances in relation to the find of money in Montego Bay.
Oh, they made an utterance?
Yeah, man. They spoke at the time about pending extradition requests for persons with, and you even heard our police came out encouraging one man whose name has been in the media from years back
to show up himself,
to turn himself in.
Who that?
So I've forgotten his name. I think it's an Indian. I've forgotten.
I'm sure.
One of those names. Right. So we know, I believe, that as between UK, US, Jamaica, the Caribbean area is for the US to clean up. In Sunday's paper, there was an editorial titled "The Gloves Are Coming Off," and the U.S. action against the BVI premier cited as a sure sign that the U.S. has indeed had enough. And one man is quoted as saying that our leaders are just too arrogant in their assumption of power and their belief that they're untouchable. All true. But I like to say that our criminals are for us to deal with. We must develop the ability to deal with our own criminals.
100%. Go back to morality.
Yeah. Still, there is some element of international cooperation and involvement when problems occur in a neighboring state. So we see that.
Happening in Europe.
And yes, absolutely, one cannot forget what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. On the local scene now, we see the same thing arising. A young lady very interesting that it's a young lady, announced a challenge to the leadership in Moortown.
Moortown. Yeah.
Moortown. Well, that leadership bid
Was aborted.
was, yes, that word was used. Say it was
What
aborted. I don't know if it was before
stopped.
term.
No, it never came to fruition.
It never came to fruition. But we saw some things happening. If you read the story in today's Gleaner, you will see two relevant details. One is that the police established a presence in the community, and you see a picture of the look like soldiers. Actually.
Soldiers and a soldier.
Yes, so you see soldiers on the street, rifles out. Two, there is a report that says persons were being stopped from entering the community. Most notably, the Akompong leader, Mr. Curry, they say, was stopped from going in, and someone else. And then you see Maroon Colonel threatens a purge, and he talks about non-Maroon persons in the community inciting civil unrest. The suggestion is that this lady's challenge to his crown, she was incited by outsiders to make a bid for leadership. These are what I did just now was to look at the larger global international stage and then bring it down, because it is the same issue. And we will have to touch on what happened in Denham Town with the same soldiers, not the same individuals, but Jamaica's military force deployed in Denham Town, I say, against the citizens. The Prime Minister says they are peacekeeping forces, and nothing that you saw circulating on social media looked like they were keeping any peace. We're at the 7:30 break, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep
For a
listening.
better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-3825-8 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Half a tree, 100, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi star?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience, and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. Yeah, hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
Try and call it, cause trust me.
Winters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
Ah, what a relief.
Veg Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Veg Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back. Well, thank you for staying with us and for tracking the issues. I want to share with you some of what is being said online. Good morning. Truth to Power says we're born with a morality control, which is called our consciences. Unless we are totally sociopathic, we instinctively know when we do wrong. Now that I can support 90% of that.
Not
well,
100%.
really, because when you use the word instinct lacks morality.
Mm-hmm. But then, in
but I
Romans,
think
it
he's
speaks
right
about
that there
people-
is a conscience.
Yeah, but conscience has become seared.
Yeah. So there's a lot in that which I agree with. And then he says there was a call last week. There was a call last week for a person of interest to turn himself in by a certain day and time. It hasn't happened, and we have heard no further call. Why isn't he being actively hunted down? I think that's the person that I was referring to when I said the police said that there is someone, and they called the name who they had been the subject of an extradition request or something in
They
some
can't
years
find it.
gone, and that person must
Where
turn
the person
themselves
is?
in. Huh?
Where's the person?
I don't know. I don't
Gone
know.
on some boat somewhere.
I don't know. Basco says the lessons which are suited for a child, the most important lesson for everyday life is this: never hurt anybody.
Interesting.
It's a nice one. A person of interest in most countries always walk past police station at least twice a day.
Earl Brown. Think
That
a
is
joke?
Earl.
Think a joke.
And then he says the soldiers keep the peace with the butt of their big guns.
Kill
No,
the butt?
yeah, yeah. Well, we saw the man using this rifle-looking thing, weapon
You know what has happened?
to strike at at a woman.
That
One
was his
soldier
son.
kicked at a woman.
Mhm.
You're seeing every kind of Jamaicans rightly fear that we're becoming a police state. It's not police state; it's military state.
Yeah, but you know, there's something that I think is inherently wrong in terms of how we go about that. In that we don't have no respect for law and order. You know
So
that
which one now? Is it the soldier or the citizen?
well, both of them.
Okay, because I want that.
Both of them,
Yeah.
but more from the citizen have no respect for law and order. And I believe very strongly that if you're going to thrive or succeed in a lot of things, there needs to be order. My experience has shown me
Well,
that, yeah,
that is the rule of law point that you and I touched on earlier. Uh, the rule of law involves a respect for the supremacy of the law, the effectiveness of the law, the importance of the law. And law here really refers to the body of legislative instruments, rules, and regulations that govern public life or life in the public domain. Um, a very important thing is recognizing that the law, they said each man's home is his castle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It means that you make the law in your house.
Mm-hmm. When you go outside, though.
When you step into the public domain now, when you leave your property, and anything that leaves your property. So, for example, you can, if you have certain things on your property and it emanate to another property, another space, you've now entered the realm of the law. So things like noise,
Noise abatement is in. I remember that call.
fumes, including smoke, and if you're storing gaseous products on your property, and it emanates, it seeps. Water can be the source can bring the law into your house because water run from your property into the public or into your neighbor's place. So things can emanate from your property and bring the law across your threshold. But the fundamental principle in the rule of law is that it operates in the public domain.
Yeah, and as you talk about water emanating on Whitehall Avenue, there's a piece of road that is just.
Oh, I know it.
And I'm saying to
I
myself,
was actually wondering. It's like a riverbed.
yeah,
But there's no.
there's water that is
Yeah,
coming from
water.
somebody's yard. Come on.
That's plenty water.
Yeah, over
It's-
time.
it's
That's how.
pitted and
Yeah,
terrible condition.
That
Yeah.
that is what happens over time. And I'm saying, well, after the MP, don't see that in nothing in community. Come on.
Well, so now, do you think there might be laws that would penalize persons who cause things to run from their property and damage the public
I think
road?
there is. There must be.
You would say that. I don't know of it.
Yeah, because it is and let them fix it because
I don't know of it because most times when subdivisions, we see a piece of land now fully built up and we don't bear in mind that that land was once empty,
Right.
became the subject of a subdivision plan, which needed to have
Been
provisions
approved.
in it for drainage and various things. When we see it built up, we think that that's how it always existed. No, there was a point at which it was private land, and then it was moved, put under development, and we see now that there are public roads on it and so on. and roads come into existence without proper drainage and so on. So it's not necessarily the case that there is a law that would penalize somebody who live beside a road and cause water to run onto the roadway and destroy, because that road might be the subject of an old easement or covenant, which places on someone the responsibility to do something. And homes that are landlocked, meaning surrounded by other
Homes or
land owned by other persons.
mm-hmm.
If your lot is surrounded by, or you're not a corner lot with a drainage into a gully or something, then there is some expectation that you have a clear passage to move water from your property.
Yeah, so they
That
do
it
need
is
to.
just the context in which you look at these things.
But what we're saying is that there seem to be, as it said in Judges, every man did what was right in his own eyes. And
Yeah,
there's
man.
no,
When
it's
no
a serious,
care.
no man, it's a serious thing. The
When you're
taxi man who see a line of traffic and then make another lane, put on him lights, put on his hazard lights in order to do it. I just hoping that more and more the police force, those are work. We see a lot of times you're in the traffic and police vehicles there, obviously going and they see a taxi man, mainly, or other vehicles just come out of the line and just create another lane and insane. So why are we in this line waiting patiently and this person just does what they need to do? Come on. If we were to begin to enforce those little small things, I think we would, in a serious way, begin to change and to enforce law and order in this country, like where a lot of people are not frustrated.
I want to read something as a kind of a introduction to how I want us to look at this business of sovereignty and the rights of indigenous persons, and I want us to see ourselves in two capacities: one as the dominant society, and two as an indigenous group ourselves, meaning that every nation that occupies a spot of land over a period of time and is recognized as a state is indigenous to that area.
True.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Right. So Jamaicans are indigenous to Jamaica. Let's put it that way. Indigenous peoples are inheritors and practitioners of unique cultures and ways of relating to people and the environment. They have retained social, cultural, economic, and political characteristics that are distinct from those of the dominant societies in which they live. Despite their cultural differences, indigenous peoples from around the world share common problems related to the protection of their rights as distinct peoples. Indigenous peoples have sought recognition of their identities, way of life, and their right to traditional lands, territories, and natural resources for years. Yet, throughout history, their rights have always been violated. Indigenous peoples today are arguably among the most disadvantaged and vulnerable groups of people in the world. The international community now recognizes that special measures are required to protect their rights and maintain their distinct cultures and way of life. Jamaica is well, maybe not very unique. Unique is unique. Jamaica is proud to be amongst the nations of the world that have two recognizable indigenous groups.
Yeah, we have the Maroons.
We have the Maroons.
We have the Jamaicans.
And we have the Rastafarians. And we have the Rastafarians. Recognized, internationally recognized. Sometimes when we talk it up locally, people say, there's a bunch of people saying it. And you need to get credibility by associating yourself with international recognition. So we have the Maroons and we have the Rastafarians. We alone, two indigenous groups. I mean, the Rastafarians are unique in that it began here, whereas you have Maroons in other parts of the world. They use the same name to describe that group.
And they
All
have
right.
different color blends.
So notice the rights that they have. They have they have the right to their identity, the markers, the both tangible and intangible markers of who they are. This is not just DNA. This is how they choose to dress, how they look. Some of them have distinct um, physical characteristics, markings, if they use tribal scars or a certain type of jewelry, whatever, to adorn themselves, mark their bodies, part of their identity. Their way of life, how they live. If they choose to live in trees, if they choose to live in huts, if they choose to live in a communal setting versus independent, standalone homes, their way of life. Their right to traditional lands, something that Jamaicans don't seem to understand. When I say Jamaicans, I mean the leaders. A right to their traditional lands. That is why, horrible as it may sound, Mr. Sterling, Maroon Chief in Portland area, that's why he can say, we're going to put people to the gate.
That's what he says.
Because they have a right to their traditional lands. We can't just get up and say we're moving into Moortown or we're moving into a compound. No, we can say we're moving to St. Anne or Trelawney, wherever we can buy land, find land, whatever. But we don't have a right to go and establish or dwelling on the lands of an indigenous group. It is why in Belize, when those indigenous people said, the helicopter can land on this football field. It is territorial land. It is our land.
They have to shift it.
They had to shift it. So they have a right to traditional lands, territories, and natural resources. The water, the cockpit country, the bauxite that is in the ground in the cockpit country do not belong to the government of Jamaica. But these rights has been recognized throughout time. Those rights have been violated by the dominant society. So you will have persons living right outside a compound, right outside Moortown, who say, what them people up the think say? That water is mine, those trees are mine. This is Jamaica, we like to say, in our ignorance. It is now coming at us full bore that we need to understand these things so we can assume the correct, respectful position that can honor these rights, because all of us would like our own rights to be honored. When we come under attack, we want justice and we want this and we want that. It is the same thing, and I think we need to develop an understanding of it.
Okay, so if I'm to follow what you're saying, so when Chief Corey, don't like to be referred to as Colonel anymore, Chief Corey says that in terms of what is happening in a compound and those things, our land, I need to speak to us. Is he correct in that statement?
He's absolutely correct.
And that is based on the fact that our government externally has signed to this UN treaty. Jamaica is one of them, right?
Yeah, Jamaica is amongst it, right?
So,
and Jamaica, I'm gonna say profit. Jamaica profits on the global stage from having these indigenous groups within our borders.
Yeah, okay, but
it's a part of our profile.
All right.
We are credited for having these cultural heritage gifts
Impact
to the world.
but one of the okay, I can understand the Maroons, okay, but for Rastafarian, because you can become Rastafarian because it is basically begins in your faith. You can convert to Rastafarian. Is that correct? So then, what makes them indigenous is because of their way of living and so on. Like with lands with the Maroon, is that what lands would they
identity, way of life. Okay, remember now, there's a definition of indigenous people.
Right.
Inheritors and practitioners of unique cultures
so
and ways of relating to people and the environment.
Okay. So that is how Rastafarian is recognized as an indigenous people.
Yes.
Somebody's asking, what happened to the Taínos and the Arawa?
Well, because they did not benefit from this declaration by the United Nations, then dead. But if you don't protect them, they die.
Because in Dominica, when you go to Dominica, and I've been
but
there.
their bloodline, as you know, I mean, I was tongue in cheek, But the bloodline of some of these indigenous persons continue in the Maroons
Maroons, yeah.
because the Maroons say, "Oh, you think we survive in the hills? We had to
The
make friends."
with the
Yeah.
people who had gone. Because when you go to Dominica, they actually have places that they have set aside for they're not Tainos or Arawaks, they have the Caribs in
Mhm.
those places.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
reservations. I visited it and you had to get permission to go there because they had their own system of governance. And yep.
So the dominant. So what then becomes the role of the dominant society
Respect
in
them.
which these persons, these groups exist? Do we overwhelm them with police force? As sometimes Jamaica, we are overwhelming our own people with police force, so we have the same attitude towards them.
Police force or military
I'm not
force.
going to, I'm not gonna make any condemnatory statement about how we treat with the indigenous groups in our midst. But I'm raising it for us to begin to think about it, to recognize that these persons are entitled to practice and to preserve their way of life and their relationship to land, to the environment, to the resources that are on the land. That is important, that is worthy of respect and protection. So when we see certain things happening at in the helm of leadership, we as citizens can take a right position towards it, whether to condemn or to support.
Okay.
Denham Town has been under siege for the longest while, and
Siege by who?
I have to define the siege.
Because one person defining, one person has to be sieging a person in terms of people are regular there. Who is under siege? The people of the area. Who is carrying out the siege? That's what I'm asking.
Oh no, but your guess is as good as mine.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm not defining the siege. I'm not defining it, but meaning I'm not going to blame one person or the other.
Okay.
But when I want to comment on what transpired
On the video?
And it's not the first. That to me, that's the second. The person who was killed in the community shortly after the holidays. Remember, there was a young man who was shot. And some of the elements of the last video were featured in the first account because there was some attack against the report is that the young man's mother was being roughed up and he intervened and himself became the victim. Again, we see here and I tell you, watch our women. He died. The man, they chased him into a yard and shot him.
Who?
The incident that took place a few weeks ago.
Or the first one?
The first one.
Which is different from the second?
Which is different from the second
one, the woman
but
and the
there are some common elements.
Okay.
They say that the young man saw his mother being roughed up by the soldiers and he intervened and there was the chucking and the pushing and eventually they chased him and he was shot. The first one. That's the first incident. You don't remember?
No, because the one that I have a video of it and I'm just wondering if it's related or it's a different video.
So there were two incidents.
Two different videos?
Two different videos,
okay.
Man. In the first one, a man was killed. In the second one, the woman and the man who starred were taken off in the in the soldier vehicle. So we don't know of any death resulting from that one. But there were some common elements. The common elements being, one, women in the thick of it.
That's what I opened with this morning.
And the second, man responding in defense of woman.
Okay.
Are we in agreement?
You're
you
going
saw
ahead.
those in this? No, I just need to know we're talking about the same videos. Did you see in the video that caused the Prime Minister to say, "Let me be clear, I am not removing the army is not going to be removed from the community." That's the last one, which is a second incident in which a woman believed to be pregnant, described as being pregnant, was in the face of the police, the army.
She wasn't pregnant. She was fat.
But did you read the report?
I didn't read the report.
I'm just looking. Was pregnant?
No, I'm looking at the thing. I'm looking at it. But
all right, Pastor, I forgive you for that one.
No, but what I'm saying, I have the video online. It was sent to me.
But there was a report on it also, which said that the woman was pregnant. I know you say she just fat. I can't believe you said that.
She look no, she does look fat because
Yeah,
if I'm
but in the
pregnant,
report they describe and say that woman was pregnant and the a thing was happening. Anyway, I don't want to be bogged down by the details
details.
of
No,
it,
right.
but we know that women were involved in the conflict, and a man intervened to, I guess, defend because perhaps he's a relative or maybe he was just a good Samaritan, and the two of them end up in the back of the vehicle, and you could see the policeman with the gun, striking at repeatedly.
Okay. The young man with the butt of the
Right.
gun because he was up
So,
in their
yeah.
faces. Yes.
So when I say siege, the fact that you've had to establish an ongoing military presence or police presence in a community means something unnatural is happening there. I don't have any military or police presence in my community with checkpoint or whatever.
You're talking about Denham
Defined.
Town.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Defined as a peacekeeping. I don't have peacekeeping force permanently resident in, and that's been going on in Denham Town now. It reached a degree of permanence with more than what, 4 years or something like that.
It's also.
Right. And the Prime Minister says whatever the outcome, they're not coming out of there. He called them peacekeeping.
And he must have some information and knowledge that we don't have for him to say that.
All right. So now it begs the question, whose peace is being kept?
Mhm.
And I posited a view, which I'm sharing with you now, that the peace that is being kept is really the peace for the people who live outside of Denham Town.
I'm not so sure about that.
It's not peace in Denham Town because the people in Denham Town are rejecting the presence, are calling it hostile, are saying that enough of this particular approach to peacekeeping. However, persons who live outside of Denham Town now, and most notably persons who live way up from Denham Town, they need the comfort and the knowledge that the police is doing something about those violent people downtown. They feel some sense of security or that something is being done because we continue to indulge in the misguided notion that the violence that comes out of certain parts of the community, and I think they said like there are 20 communities that feature in this, what do you call it now, this flood of violence. We think that when we narrow it down and say these are the 20 communities, that it means that the contribution to the crime and violence by the rest of Jamaica, call it the dominant society now, we think that some communities are not playing a role, not a part of it. And in my view, that is very wrong. When you put peacekeeping troops in Denham Town, that is just a facade to give a false sense of security to the people who live elsewhere and are deluding themselves in the belief that that's where the violence is coming from.
Or it could be one of the sources. Because I take
For
another
me-
view. Let me just, you have
Well,
said
I'm
a whole
gonna
lot.
finish my-
All right, say your lot
Yeah.
and then I'm going to respond to
For
you.
me, all of the other things that come out of poor administration of justice, maladministration of public funds, all of the inequities to do with wages, bad treatment of women and children and poor people, those bigger issues are the real drivers. And what it has done is pushed those who are marginalized into some narrow geographic areas. And we think that that is the hotspot. But the truth of the matter is, it's like if you have a tumor, you can see the tumor in your body, but the tumor is really the point of collection for all of the toxins and the harmful things that come from everywhere else in the body. You look at the tumor is really a symptom of the other things that are happening in the rest of the body. And we keep pounding and pressuring the tumor, and the tumor is constantly being refilled and enriched by the other things that we're not attending to. Your turn.
Okay. I think there are some bigger issues there, having worked for a significant portion of my ministry in a lot of the inner city areas. We call them inner cities. for whatever reasons, like one of the things that just jumps out at me, I agree with you that there are a lot of things that are so wrong in terms of justice, the inequities in our society in terms of what people earn and the frustration that comes out of that. But to zero in to what is happening in terms of some of these communities is one, I call it a breakdown in family life, which is happening everywhere. So it is not only something that is present in a city, but it is present everywhere. And then I remember a very close associate of mine once said that, the way how these communities are constructed and how people interact with each other, it is no wonder that they continue to be areas that continue to breed the crime, the violence, all of these other things. What you say happened on that day in particular, and I was saying, oh, the lady, I was wondering why, just looking at the video, she was up in the face of the soldier. We don't know what happened before or after. And the young soldier just responded to it out of his own what? Frustration?
Arrogance and
frustration,
indiscipline.
arrogance,
Arrogance and indiscipline,
discipline.
because he's supposed to be trained for that.
Right.
We got the break signal.
Yeah.
All right, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's 8 o'clock.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. President Putin has described his decision to invade Ukraine as a preemptive strike in a speech at a huge military parade for the anniversary of the defeat of Nazi Germany. He accused NATO of actively building up forces in countries bordering Russia. Jenny Hill reports from Moscow.
As troops paraded and tanks and missile launchers thundered through Moscow, the eyes of the world focused on Red Square. This was the usual display of might intended for the outside world. But fewer soldiers than usual marched past Vladimir Putin, and the Russian president, who would have liked to mark Victory Day with a triumph of his own over Ukraine, has yet to achieve his most recently stated aim to take the Donbass region. Mr. Putin defied the predictions of some experts, who thought he might use the occasion to announce a mobilization of reservists to replenish his depleted fighting force. Instead, he railed against the West and NATO and said that he'd been forced to take action against Ukraine in self-defense.
Britain's Defence Secretary Ben Wallace has accused Russian generals, as well as President Putin, of culpability for what he called the illegal invasion of Ukraine. Mr. Wallace said the generals were inflicting needless suffering in the service of lowly gangsterism.
Since February, we have witnessed a systematic refusal to tell the truth up the chain of command, and it's playing out. Consider the fact alone that mobile crematorium trundle around the battlefield, and not just to hide Russian war crimes. They are for their own soldiers' corpses as well. Could you imagine what it must do to the morale of a private soldier to know that your commanders have so little faith in their campaign that you are followed around by these horrific contraptions?
Russia has continued its relentless bombardment of the Donbass in eastern Ukraine. The governor of Ukraine's Luhansk region said there were very serious battles taking place around the town of Rubizhne and Bilohorivka. Further west, the mayor of the strategic town of Slovyansk said the Russian army had shelled the centre. The Sri Lankan Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has stepped down amid widespread anti-government protests. Rajini Vaidyanathan has the latest.
An island nation struggling to stay financially afloat. Today, deep in turmoil. There were tense scenes in the capital as supporters of the PM were seen beating up anti-government protesters and journalists. Later, some of the group destroyed the protest site at the city's seafront, where demonstrators had peacefully set up camp for weeks. But then, later in the day, scenes of joy in the crowd as Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa announced his resignation. In a letter, he blamed COVID and the global economic crisis for the country's financial woes, although many blame his government's policies.
This is Moira Alderson with the latest world news from the BBC. Polling stations in the Philippines have officially closed in the presidential election, with some voters still queuing to cast their ballots due to faulty vote counting machines. Election officials say people within 30 metres of precincts will still be allowed to vote. Opinion polls have the frontrunner Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in a commanding lead. The European Union has rejected British suggestions that parts of the Brexit agreement should be renegotiated. London has been seeking changes to the Northern Ireland Protocol. Jessica Parker reports from Brussels.
Negotiations on reforming the protocol have floundered for months, but the issue is now under fresh scrutiny following elections in Northern Ireland. While nationalist Sinn Féin has emerged as the largest party, the Democratic Unionists warn that they won't form part of the executive unless their deep concerns about the treaty are addressed. They say checks on goods arriving from Great Britain are damaging the economy and threatening Northern Ireland's place in the UK. Last year, Brussels put forward proposals to ease controls, but London has long demanded more far-reaching changes. Senior EU figures today again rejected the idea of renegotiating the text, but insisted they were ready to continue discussions.
A 10-day operation to remove illegally constructed buildings in the Indian capital Delhi has been temporarily halted after hundreds of protesters blocked the roads to stop bulldozers. The government had planned to remove shops and houses built on public land in Shaheen Bagh and other nearby areas, but local residents accused the BJP government of deliberately targeting the Muslim-majority area. A number of beauty treatments for women have been banned in Iran's second biggest city, Mashhad. The head of the local hairdressers union said that waxing, nail extensions, tattooing and Botox were among the treatments that were no longer permitted for religious reasons. That's the latest BBC News.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
You can call us on 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi star?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, at 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
I try and call him because trust me.
Winters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
Ah, what a relief.
Vejan Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vejan Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
A breakdown of trust and so on,
I love it how you just started, right?
It's a breakdown of trust. Trust.
All right, to recap, welcome back. I came in saying to Pastor Percival that I just went out to refresh myself and met one of our staff members in the hallway who has been listening to the program. And so she shared with me that in some communities, and I'm not going to say that's how it is in Denham Town, but she said in some communities, when the police come in to apprehend a member of the community, there is a rule set by the leaders of the community. These now are the informal leaders of the community, that the women and the children must present themselves as a first line of defense to delay and obstruct and so on and so forth. And so, when, for example, our Prime Minister said that speaking to those elements in wherever who set these things in motion with a view to destabilizing and interfering with the lawful exercise of the soldiers' activities or whatever. He said they are peacekeepers. He didn't say they were there to apprehend anyone, but he was saying that there are elements in the society who move against law and order. And he was kind of, speaking to them to say that it's not going to change. We're keeping the forces in the community. She was saying to me that in some communities, this is how it is. And I know of that. We saw it when Dudus was being
Because
extracted from his community.
let us face up to a reality.
Mhm.
There is what has emerged over the years. It's simply a different justice system and governance structure versus what happens outside of the communities. You simply have to just have conversation, and I've had many conversations with different people as to how run-ins go. Like you mentioned the thing, we've been talking on the theme of women and children. If the Don says, hello, I want this lady, you
give her up or move.
You give her up or move, or you die as a result of resisting. And that is what a lot of communities are just tired of that kind of justice. And we from the outside can look on and say, it's them allowed to happen. But we have to step up to the plate in order to try to help those people to restore the rule of law. Remember this too,
Who are we helping to restore the rule of law?
The people, most people who live in these communities,
Right.
who says we're tired of this thing. Because there are a few elements that perpetuate this kind of a system in the community. So some of the times you'll hear some of them say, oh, boy, I'm glad to say the soldiers and the police are in our communities, because if them was not here, it would be worse in terms
You
of
can't
the
walk
work
on the
on
street with
and
it.
so on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it is kind of unfortunate in terms of what's happening, and so a lot of churches are in these communities. So there's a greater role that they have to play. I've known of some of my fellow church leaders just stand up to them and say, "Yeah, go kill me today now." But we are not going to continue to allow this kind of system to happen. And
Mhm.
some of them have some powerful testimonies in regards to standing up, and the other power in the community or other system has to back down because they recognize the man of God and the power that he wells in the community in terms of the message of the kingdom. To Luke 4:18, captives free, to those who are broken and distraught, to declare to them God's favor. There's an alternate system that you can operate when you don't have to live this kind of way.
All right, it's time for us to open the lines. May I remind you of the numbers to call: 619-1508, 279-8473. So that's, remember, 876, that's 10-digit dialing now, 876-619-1508 and 876-279-8473.
And somebody puts it in sharp perspective, the political gangsterism that has been there for many, 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 many years. And when once upon a time we say, look to the state, and now the state will have the resources to do what they are seeking to do, other systems have emerged, which is fueled by the extortion and all of that. So we just have to understand. We talk about strongholds. Remember that conversation that Rosie raised at 9 in terms of when she was saying, when we're talking about warfare, what is it we're talking about? And that is part of coming against the strongholds that are in communities, innocent blood that has been shed, that kind of a thing.
And in many of these discussions, the question becomes who makes the first move
People of faith.
on both sides,
Yes,
too.
people of faith on
Yeah.
both sides. Yeah, people believe that this is inherently wrong, something wrong. Yeah.
Oh,
Good
we have a
morning,
first.
caller. How are you?
Morning.
Good morning, Wayne. How are you?
I'm good enough. My day I bought some coconut oil.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're in the
your
kitchen.
kitchen. You're doing some cold pressed coconut oil.
No, it's boiling.
No, boil me, I boil it.
Okay.
So much thing talk about this morning, me I tell you. Me I say,
Start with one.
don't
Start
say
with
they are
one.
working that you have no pencil and something to write down. That me can talk, you know. According to what you've been talking about. But
Yeah.
in the ghetto still, you see, I always feel like though you run a society, you deal with justice and righteousness. You're supposed to train the children them from the laws, from them little bit of grow, help them to understand, you know, and share their views, what they think about the laws, you know. You know, to me, the leaders of this country, them are the biggest problem. Biggest problem. You know, so all the things are going here. Because when you dance, the people them quiet and pray people open them mouth, don't.
Well,
so you can't toast the police and soldiers and jump up in them face certain ways still and disrespect them still, you know. You're supposed to can express your feelings in a more humble way though, you know. Because when the dance talk, we not soon deal with the dancer. You know, so we need a balance of thing, you understand me? And as you talk about dancing for that, and we make sure some teach my little girl that nobody no rule over you more than the Almighty God. It's an honorable way to die for what is right than for living like a puppet underneath people. You know, because a guy can't bring that to me, but you're done, you know, I feel like you can't come tell me anything to do, and I feel like you can't come tell me so you want my daughter, you know. Can't try that, you know, before that, my bust gunshot, you know.
Well, listen, man. Outside I was saying to my colleague here that we have to imagine that persons share the same motivation as we do, and what would cause you if you pregnant and what would cause you to be in the face of a policeman like that? And she told me a story of an occasion when police was at her gate and her little son came and was nudging her to get something that she had promised. And she had been interrupted in her mothering by the arrival of the policeman. And the policeman tell her, say she must keep her mongrel quiet. I may no wait forget the rest of the story. I had to run back in. But I'm telling you, there are some things that when they happen, all common sense leave you. Every thought of safety for yourself leave you, and you're just that is when instinct kick in. And sometimes you see people out there, you have to wonder, and you have to imagine that is you. What would cause you to do something so obviously foolhardy?
Yeah, and that is why I say to the government, they might make a big problem. Try to train the people them for them little bit. A youth go to school till him 17 years old, him left school. Go to higher school and 17, you know, in a college or so, you still don't know the constitution and the country you live in. A madness. You understand me? There's a lot of things that's not right with them still, you know. And the same thing is not right with them. We make the people them behave certain way. The same thing is not right with them because the police force and the soldiers them behave certain way.
Yes.
You know, so
the lack of knowledge. I mean, you know, it is true. People perish for lack of knowledge.
The problem big enough, darling. It's a problem where the world in a big.
Well, you see, I was trying to make the connection between the things we see happening on the world stage and the things that are happening here, because it's the same. It's just the same thing in smaller settings, but it is a large,
you know,
a larger problem.
And you see, when we sit down and meditate everything humbly, and when we read the Bible and see the laws, so the Bible has show we how to live. To me, I know I'm not seeing the laws more supreme than when we write in the Bible still, you know.
Neither do I, my brother. That's why you hear me when I say to pastor, it's a matter of morality and not law. And law will never be the solution. We do need laws, not saying we don't. But if you're not right thinking, if you don't have your own moral compass that is inside of your conscience, your head, your spirit, it will come to nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and because no people, as I say, people have natural instinct in them to show them certain things as right as wrong, you know. Because when the table turn, you know, and get a different talk, you know. Him lick you, I expect you to take it and smile with him and praise him too. But when you lick him, he want to cut off your head, you know. So there's a lot of things, you know, naturally people knowing of themselves, but the Bible tells about deceitful spirit too, you know, where have man like idiot. You know, one more thing I'm going to talk about deceitful spirit. In a revelation now, it show you that the Lord locked with the deceitful spirit for 1,000 years and established the righteous kingdom.
Yes.
So that righteous kingdom is a light to the rest of the world now. Yet still after the 1,000 years, let out the deceitful spirit and the rest of the world. Still don't follow the deceitful spirit. I tell you, the Lord alone can't come solve it. You know. We have to just go and pray, you know.
And pray and
act.
Pray and act.
Try to be enlightening to everyone and not pray cause. Not really terrible.
Pray and act.
Listening.
All right, my brother. Thank you.
Come on, bless up.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Africa love my sister.
Good
morning. Pray and act.
First, I'll say happy belated Mother's Day.
Thank you, sir. I receive it.
All mothers of this world.
Wonderful people.
Wonderful people. People who are been created to create.
Aye.
Partners in creation.
Good. Yeah, but what I'm saying, I hear you talking about the law this morning. And I'm saying that there are people who are called legislators of law. Right? And they have made law. Say what is wrong from what is right. But when I see what is going on now in Jamaica, is these laws in Jamaica only have teeth for certain people. These laws don't have teeth for those who are making the law or who work in the law to suit them and their self. Right? I believe that the firmest law in Jamaica is the people. And I believe that if the people sit down and don't try to correct the law from those legislators of law, then we ain't going to have no law. Because what is happening in Jamaica now, there's no law. Law just become a word. Because there are people who are untouchable.
But you see, Ras Kremlin, I understand the point you make when you say the law, the people hold the law either in their heart. Christ said,
is written.
Yeah, God says He's going to write Him law in our hearts. So those who say the conscience, we're born with a conscience and a knowing. So if you're right that the people carry the law, yet the same people elect a group of legislators who produce something that is not consistent with the law that is in the heart, you're sort of touching on a number of things because ultimately it's the people's fault why the thing look like this.
Yeah, well, to me, the first law
yes,
the people should have overstand is the 10 Commandments. And that law were coming from, all right, let us say, put it this way, that the 10 Commandments was adding down to Moses. Right?
But you have to bear in mind that they failed to keep the 10 Commandments or every extrapolation of it. So you're touching now on a pattern of disobedience that is quite old and well established. How do we break that cycle where the law that is known is constantly under pressure, being breached? Whether it is the fault of the legislators or the fault of the people.
Because the people allow it.
But are the people who break the law now?
Let them decide.
But they are, if they allow the law to not be reaching where law is concerned. The 10 Commandments is a guidance then to the people.
And then but Ras came in. But when Jesus came in, he said, right, Two laws, my right. Love the Lord, the God with all your heart.
You break it down to two.
Two, just two.
And some
Yeah,
might say
put
it's
God in them right place.
one with a A and B.
Yeah. And then you love your neighbor as yourself. If you do that in terms of how you interact with people, because as I suggest all the time, everything we do is based on relationship. Relationship with God, relationship with man. And if in how you relate to God and man, you must see it working itself out, be manifest. What do you think?
I think about that, but if we are not seeing it as a people, love your neighbor as thyself.
Yes.
And we are not seeing that work because of modern legislators, right? Then we must put our foot down.
But like that, I have to agree with you on. We do have to put our foot down, but I don't want it to be forgotten that we are the same ones. We make up the legislative body. We vote them in. When it's not us sitting there ourselves in our personal capacity, it's people that we elect and people that we support. And we have the power to make that change. So I agree with you. We should put our foot down and make the change that is necessary. Yes.
When we today, today are experiencing that police is leading gangs.
Yes.
Soldier is leading gang. The PNP party are lead gang. The GLP party are lead gang. Then what we could do as a people? Should we allow them?
No. I agree with you. I agree with you. I just wanted to be clear that we are the same ones. We make up the PNP. We make up the JLP. We make up the gangs. And when I say we, I am putting myself in a place of both. I'm both participant and I'm both protagonist and antagonist. Because if it's not me, I'm a brother, or my sister, or my blood, or whatever. It is. I can't separate myself from it. When I see something happening in Denham Town, I know it's not happening in my own community, but I have to feel a connection to Denham Town.
Yeah, of course. So all we are one.
Right. Yeah, there's no point in me doing well, and I mean, my peace of mind wouldn't be intact if I have to see suffering on my border. At the very least, even if me selfish, me go worry, say it I go leak come over in my place.
Yeah, because and that is and what has
your place?
It has reached it already. That is what is shaking a lot of people in them boots now. And it has reached them. Once upon a time, them can kill each other off down. Let them stay and kill her. But now it's everywhere. And nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe.
So it's go. That way we'll all get involved.
And some people are benefiting. I see now, I hear on the radio JBC RJR now. That the mayor in New York is now sending a summons to our Prime Minister that they have discovered that all of the guns in Jamaica, the majority of guns in Jamaica, are made in America. All them reach in Jamaica.
Right.
All them reach in Jamaica.
Them take up wing and fly come.
I think the mean or Ras Kremlin can send me an import a box of M6 in the car, 24 M69 and 24 AK and 24 9mm and then a bag of ammunition in that. Eh?
Yeah, not happening with the ordinary people on the road.
You see, sometimes the ordinary people I blame the ordinary people and don't know who to blame because of the respect with them have to certain people, the politicians, right? The two party. And them are talk about now, the man them make money and the man them have scam so them can buy them gun and them can this and them. No! No, I don't accept that.
Well, you're not alone in that, Ras Kremlin, and we can listen, man. Things are changing. Let's put it that way.
You see, the people, my beloved brothers and sisters, they must understand that they can stop everything what go on. Them can move up PNP party and JP party, bring them aside on a Porsche road down go, and set up the thing and make we live better. Them have the power to do that. Them have the power, them have the law right? The people of Jamaica who baby mother, baby father has suffered from certain things where people come force on them picnic and get them picnic mixed up. And if the people don't get up, come off on the foot.
All right, sir. Call to action.
Stop.
Call to action. We try to do it here every morning.
Good, my sister. After
All
best of the day.
Thank you,
I
brother.
respect all callers. One love, one aim, one destiny. Almighty run earth.
All right, brother. Have a good day.
Good.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning, my lady.
How are you, sir?
How you doing, my friend?
Man, Pastor. Happy belated Mother's Day to you. I hope you had a good day yesterday.
I did. Thank you very much.
Yeah, why? I think you need to teach my philosophy more, you know.
Which is that? Enlightened self-interest.
Enlightened self-interest. Come on, we need to get that out. We need to teach that in the schools. We need to teach that in our institution. Because listen, my man, it's a lack of self-love. Not even love other people, you know. It's a lack of self-love.
Enlighten. Give us a. We're gonna have to take a station break. So hold on. All right, we'll come right back to you.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all. You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back.
Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, the killing that took place in Mandeville, with the mob killing that gentleman, with from our reports, we're saying that the gentleman was innocent. You know, somebody sent me the video early now. As I look at it, you know, and I look at the gentleman at that age, the size of the man and all that type of thing. I said to myself, this man is not involved, you know, in where them say the man involved in, you know. It's some mistake, you know. And if people have the love, the intelligent love, enlightened love within themselves, they would carry out like that. The first thing they would have said, would I want somebody to be doing me something like when they can't prove? You can't prove that the man did what they did, and you just this level of animalistic will come out in our people so easily. You know, the level of reaching out to the level of the instinct. We are ruling by instinct, you know. Animal rule by instinct, you know. And a lot of too many of us Jamaicans are ruled by instinct. No reason, you know.
Earlier in the conversation, Pastor Percy and I touched on the rule of law, what it means to observe the rule of law. The law in Jamaica is that a man is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Persons who, in a situation that look like he commit a crime or whatever you might be thinking, the rule of law would dictate that if you as a citizen want to keep him in one place until citizens arrest, that's why that power still exists. If you want to keep him somewhere until the police come or whatever, if you want to take him to the police station, that is what you do under the rule of law. What is it, would you say, that obtains when citizens take it on themselves to apply their own justice? What do you think is happening?
No, the barbaric thing, not the people, them, man. Want to inflict punishment on people, even without going to the legal system, you know.
So if that were so, if that were so, I want to carry it a little further. If that were so, when we hear reports that this one has stolen millions of dollars or that one has done all the various things that we know happen in the public domain, you'd never see a mob spontaneously or with deliberation either forming at the courthouse when the person coming or going down to a ministry to drag out anybody. We've seen citizens go at the hospital to take out somebody that they say don't need to be there. And we see them lay hands on somebody in the heat of the moment and do various things. But that what you are calling the barbaric instinct or however you describe it, it does seem to it seemed to be quite selective.
Yes.
So that is telling me something else about what is driving that behavior when you see it. I mean, we know the behavior not right, but we have to assume that there is something happening underground that caused this kind of overflow of emotion and aggression in certain communities.
Yes, you see, what is happening, you know? What does that mean, you know? Is the closest. When people get angry, you know,
yeah,
it's the closest. All right, burn down the great house instead of thinking about them. Like we say, the great house I'm gonna live in, right?
That's another way of looking at it. But
it's a kind of philosophy that is like it's in our genes, you know. It's the closest thing to us. We tend to want to destroy the closest thing to us.
You're talking about self-hate?
On another occasion. On another occasion, we have a caller waiting to share with us. But on another occasion, I want you to consider after we part. I want you to consider the last time you lost control of your temper or you lost control of your behavior and did something rash, and then have a conversation. You don't have to tell me what you did, but I'd love for you to have a conversation with us on what brought you to that point. What was it, environmental, personal, whatever, that brought you to the point where reason was suspended and you just acted? Right. I'm going to take another call, but think on that for me so we can talk about
these
it.
Things
because there's something happening in the psyche of the people at the individual and at the group level that is causing us to do certain things.
Okay,
so when you call back, yes.
Yeah, man.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Doing fine.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Morning, Pastor. Doing fine. Yeah, man. I hear you talk to the gentleman about rule of law, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you a question about rule of law. We're going to understand.
Yeah.
The question is, does the present justice system reflect a balanced approach for justice?
No.
No.
No. The two of us were competing to who said first, but no.
No.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, you think it reflects a balanced approach?
Oh, I said no.
So we are in agreement.
So I have a next question.
Yes.
Is enough has been done to facilitate greater access to legal service
No.
No.
Why you say no?
Just simply
Because,
a
okay.
simple thing. If something is a priority to you, then you put your money there. Put your money where your mouth is in terms of helping to facilitate that. Because you get constant calls that says we need more resources to deal with what is happening. So even witness protection, the whole thing of justice has two sides to it. The witness versus the victim. The administration is a whole lot of things. And my learned friend would be able to speak more about it. But we don't put the resources that is needed. And one of the things that government has to do is to ensure that justice is a priority. Because where there's no justice, a lot of other things begin to happen and be manifested. And you say no. And then it creates other things in society, which is a backlash because people don't see justice in the system.
Okay. So are you think we're heading in the right direction?
We're almost. We're not there yet because it requires a true participation between the systems that we set up and populate to run our society and the people who are participating and benefiting from what it is we do in the public space. If you were listening from the outset, you would have heard me say that your home is your castle and you set the laws within your home. But in the public space, you create a government and you appoint some persons to administer what happens in the public space. In the public spaces where things about justice or equitable access to public resources take place. And public resources involved means everything that your government does for you as well as the environment in which you are living as a society. When you ask me, have we done enough to ensure
facilitate
greater access? I don't think we have done anything to facilitate even modest access, much less greater access.
All right, I understand you.
Yeah.
So let me carry you back. We hear the Justice Minister speak since week. We have some new courthouse building now. We have restorative justice system in almost or even every parish. So you think we are moving forward in terms of those infrastructure?
And right, that's why I said almost, because I see us building some things and introducing some policies and some maybe even some laws. So that's yet to come. But I see on the administrative side that we're opening some conversations and putting some structures in place. But those things will only work if you have the people educated on it, accepting and working with it, and finding value in it. That part of it, that marriage, has not yet taken place. It's almost like a man wants to get married and him start make a house. Him not no wife yet. Him not know who, where, and how. But he's building. I think we are building some things that are positive. The move towards restorative justice is a good move, but it is a political move and not a social move at the moment. If you were practicing restorative justice, you wouldn't need soldiers in Denham Town because you would have empowered and engaged the community in solving the problems that are there. Because if the community don't solve it, it cannot be solved. It can't be solved because you can't impose. You cannot keep imposing brute force to cure a problem that if the people, somebody on my chat just wrote something which I'm going to share with you because it is so on point to what you're saying. Let me just find it. He says, when people are pure, when one is pure of heart, laws are useless. Don't need it. When ones are corrupt, laws are broken.
We have a corrupt society, corrupt leadership, yeah. So we can run down the thing.
So, yeah, so as they talk about that then, involving so we need more social development, then we need more situation prevention. Is all that you're saying, getting the citizens and the officers to work together so that we can have a better country going forward?
Yes.
Stuff like that you're
stuff
referring?
like that I'm referring to, yeah.
But it begins with a shift in terms of how people see themselves Because even with the constitution that we have, the people are not at the center of it. Think about that as we take our another caller. Okay?
One last second before you go, please.
Go ahead.
So in spite of your saying, bringing the citizen involved as close as to the courtroom, so it seems as if we should not do away with jury duty then.
We should not. I don't believe we should do away with jury duty. I don't believe it. You're right. That's a part of it. Because when the citizens stay away, it's because he's not seeing the value in it and how it is helping him, which should tell you that there's a problem. If the citizen don't see the value in what you're doing, then something is wrong. And you should be looking at that root cause rather than saying, all right, citizen no one come, leave him out. As I said on the morning, we mentioned it. That means when you have low turnout at the polls, at some point people going to say, no bother with no election because they now come.
All right. In terms of getting citizens to participate in jury duty, when you get a summons and you get a summons to go to jury court, there is a fine if you're not turning up if you don't have reasonable cause for not turning up.
I think, I don't want to be specific on it, but there is a provision for you to be penalized for disregarding it. But I don't know that it is actually followed, which is another rule of law point. And as you know too, there is provision for you to be excused. So even for persons to say come and ask to be excused, but they didn't show up at all. They had a very low response.
In terms of that, we have the 2007 justice reform. Things getting from that reform is the court is so expensive. It is so slow. It is complicated.
It's not an efficient method for dispute resolution.
So what do you think about when they say it's too slow?
Justice delayed is justice denied. But I have another call on the line, and what you're saying is absorbing me greatly. Can you call back? Would you try, please?
All right, we're going to make East Central here.
Yes, okay. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Neville.
And good morning to your listeners and your valuable callers.
Morning, Neville.
Two things I want to say quickly. See, the recent PEP exams that just went on.
Yes.
I have all the examination paper in my files now. The mental ability to perform the maths, English, science and social studies. So if anybody wants any copy, I can bring the package to the Morning Connection and leave it up there and they can copy them, yeah?
All right. Thank you so much. So when you're coming to see us?
I'm going to come Thursday with my application and the package.
And the package. Excellent.
Yeah, I promise you that. But let me tell you this.
Yes.
Jamaica can't fix. It cannot fix unless you have a new set of babies that born and we create a different mindset. Because we tell the people a lot of brainwashing thing over the years and those brainwashing things manifesting now. And you cannot, to fix Denham Town, you have to fix the Valley Garden. And you have to fix Southside. And you have to fix all of the inner jungle. You have to fix them. And without fixing them, you're not going to have a big fix. Now, Pastor, look on the belt between 3 Mile and Coronation Market. Just that belt alone. You know that belt of constituencies has been run by prime ministers and ministers of finance.
Yes, sir.
And look at the state of that belt. And all of these prime ministers and ministers of finance, they retire with their pension as their pay. And use the people. You understand? Siaga use the people in West Kingston. Portia Simpson use the people in South Tentanjo. I'm afraid for talking. They're using things, them use the people. Because let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you again, you cannot have children going to school, studying PEP, studying all of these tough exams, going to university. And when you come into the business district with a minimum wage of 9,000, the business them working, the people them are not paying them any overtime. It cannot work. it means that the cash flow cycle of your country is broken and your economy is in what they call diminishing returns, and the younger people looking at their parents, and see that they're working hard, and when they get old, they don't have nothing. Look at me, never. Me never caught a what talk to you now. Sometimes I earn all 300,000 for the month. Sometimes I earn a minimum of 120,000, depends on my client base, right? When me went up by Sagicor to check my pension, and up by NIS to check my pension, say, if anything should happen right now, how much would I get for my pension? You know how much is my pension in the system? Little over 40,000. What can that do for me? Huh?
If you were to get it now, you'll not be able to survive.
Then let me tell you, say the older me get is the poorer me ever get. While the politician, the older them get, the richer them get. And what kind of system this? Now listen me carefully now, Pastor. Miss Minute. You see the shipload of money that the government printing in Germany and in England to bring in the shores to change the Jamaican money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a silly suggestion. Tell the government to use that shipload of money and pay off all them creditors we owe. And you won't tell you.
Okay.
You must tell you, you must say me mad enough. Because that will create a high level of inflation. You know why them can't do that? Because they use the national debt as a slave tool for the Jamaican people. And when they see that it can't work, they use their police force and their armies to suppress the Jamaican people. You hear they celebrate Mother's Day yesterday? Hello?
Yeah, man, I'm listening to you.
It's only 13% of all of who is celebrating Mother's Day yesterday married. Statistical Institute of Jamaica record. 13% of your adult population in this country married. The other 87% of them playing games. Country can build so.
I'm very tempted to ask you, Neville, what in your mind is the difference between the commitment of a married versus an unmarried person, either to nation building or to family?
Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
It's my experience.
Yes.
You see, in this city, when your money done, love done. When you get broke, woman, them gone.
So you think the married women have higher standards or lower standards?
Of higher standards.
In my experience, yes. Yes, when you're married, you are more committed, especially when you have children involved. Because people don't understand the monetary system of this country and the trick that the government playing with them. They don't understand it, And when you go to school and you learn and you read the books, them like how me read my book, them, and you take up your phone and come on the radio and talk. Either then hear them say you chat too much, or mind them come kill you, or it upon your head and all of them things. But let me tell you this.
Neville, did you quote a statistic also about the rate of divorce?
Yeah, the rate of divorce according to the Statistical Institute of Jamaica. Yeah. The divorce rate of Jamaica is higher than your murder rate. And that is very dangerous.
Right. But I asked you to cite that because that tells you that married or cohabiting makes no difference to the commitment.
I think it does. I disagree with my friend. I disagree.
So the ones who get divorced, what? Why they get divorced?
But that's how they enter into another
situation. Two main reasons why you have divorce in the Supreme Court. But it don't show up on the file. They have irreconcilable difference. It's sexual and monetary.
Yeah, the point I'm making, Neville, is that a woman who is disappointed in a relationship behave the same way whether it is a married relationship or they are cohabiting.
I think not.
Well, I'm speaking as a woman. I am speaking as a woman while you and Neville are speaking as something else.
No, but
me talk about woman mindset now. Me don't know what you talk about. But of course.
Call and find out. We should take a poll on
Sorry, go on, Neville.
Miss Minute, if you live with a woman and you are not married.
Not me.
Marriage is a contract, Marriage is a contract,
It is.
And you can sue the spouse, Worse if asset is involved. But this common law relationship, this baby mother, baby father thing, a chop up thing, you know. No, that's a point more I make.
Yes,
the people
yes,
them
yes,
understand this.
yes.
You see? Now they're talking about law.
Mm-hmm.
If the government serious about law, tell him to publish the FinSAC report if he's serious about law.
This is now the rule of law.
Yeah, if they're serious about law, tell the people them say, see the FinSAC report here, and tell him to educate the people on the needs bill that is coming. And also tell the government to enforce the minimum wage law from Negril Point to Moran Point, where the people are being underpaid in the retail sector, your wholesale sector, your security industry. You see all the security guard them? The amount of money where the security company them owe NHT and them hide it under the carpet over $6 billion. When them draw to the security guards them money and not paying it over to the NHT. That could have been out all right security guard them in Jamaica. Tell the government to enforce that.
All right, my brother, because we believe in the rule of law. Maybe a different
and I
law.
believe in it too, but these government here, they are tricksters because you know that even the budget have got over.
Yeah, we know that.
Because the budget premise was wrong.
Oh, boy.
What kind of system this?
Well, as Ras Kremlin said earlier, people need to get off of their foot and make some changes. And I think you're highlighting that.
The people them brighter than the government and them don't know. All the government have over them are some status and control over the police force and the army.
Control over the yeah, there you go.
That's all them have.
They have
guns and ammunition. That's all them have. Them do have nothing. Them not right on nobody else. Them will dress up in a three-piece suit and talk about them a MP and them a MP. The whole of them.
All right,
see you on Thursday, because we're going to take
I'm going to bring up the papers and bring up the application, because this thing, you know, this thing, some of us are prepared to die for this thing.
All right, some have already died. So, all right, my brother, thank you very much. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Clarence.
How are you, sir?
Good morning, Pastor.
Morning.
Yeah. First, I want to big up Mr. Peter Walker, the head security for the Emancipation Park. I was at the park yesterday, and I see him do a good job. If the government don't run like how that park is running, everything would be nice, you know. Yeah, I don't feel to bring my kids at the park, you know. Because when I see how that gentleman, you know, Mr. Walker.
That is refreshing.
Excuse me?
No, I said that's refreshing, what you're saying.
Yeah.
The commendation and, you know, your testimony.
Yeah, man. I like how him do it himself, you know. Him go around and, you know, and the kids, man. You know, and the mothers, them will come out the thingy there yesterday. You know, I just like how that gentleman, you know, go with the security. Yeah, I want to touch on 3 points now.
Mm-hmm.
No, Ms. Lawrence.
Yes, sir.
We get $22 billion from the European Union, right? To deal with the justice, because I hear you and Essential was talking about the justice system.
Mm-hmm.
And what to do? We just use the money going around and shuffling there, shuffling here. But using the money to build people house and a build police station, which are the money they should have build police station. You understand?
Yeah.
And so much people out of house and so much people are squatters in Jamaica. You know, as with my friend, my friend Carla never just say a while ago. No, we can't do things like that. Things can't keep continue. All right. You know that the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka resigned.
Yeah, that was on the news this morning, yeah.
Okay, and the people want the president to resign because the Prime Minister and the president are brother.
Our brother,
are
right.
two brothers.
In family.
No. You think if the people them they just sit by and I say, and I complain every day. You think them would have resigned to where the people them go through with them?
But you know, the people had to be brought to like the brink of annihilation to make that call, because to be they had to be insistent on it, because they were running a protest outside the residence, like for the longest while from the start of the collapse.
No, there's a lot of things are going on in Jamaica, you know. Enough people not talking, you know. Some people can't talk, they not the voice to talk. You know, it's not just like me and you know, who can really, you know, advocate for people.
Yes.
You know, and things like that. But people are suffering in Jamaica, you know. Very much, you know. And I see this government and even previous government have a way of when any little thing them staff 1.5 million staff. The community.
Mm-hmm.
It have to go through the bad man, it have to go through them workers, it have to go through the councillor, it have to go through the MP, and it have to go through the delegate. When it reads, the people need it. Finish.
In other words, it won't be any different from the other fund that they get for constituency support.
The CDF fund.
Yes, it won't be treated. It won't be any different.
So you see, we keep doing one thing over and over and over and over. And let me tell you see, what will happen? Our government reach like, when Jamaica reach like how Sri Lanka reach. You know, at that time, we are going to know what really are going on. You never have said the budget have to read over. You see, you read something like a budget. You have to do something like a budget. And you know, it's coming like, you have your house, Mr. and when you get your pay, you have to put a certain money. And see, and what you do with the money? You know, put the money, you do foolishness with the money, and you know, you read that budget where it can.
Then yeah, critical things fall due and you can't address them.
It's a joke.
Yeah. All right, my brother, we're at our 9 o'clock. We passed it actually. It's 9:01. Can we take our station break? I don't know if you can wait for us, call us back.
Take the break, because I have one more point.
All right, great. Thank you. Yeah.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-time taxi service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all. You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Vejan Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vejan Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back. Raspal, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right, go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. No, Ms. Bennett, no, Pastor. No. I'm going to leave, you know, with this. No. Listen now. You see, if we, the people of Jamaica, don't get a constitution right for the people with law to protect the people, one laugh for rich, one laugh for poor. This thing, all the soldier thing, if you know it's all the soldier thing, because what them do, them put the soldier and like a office, and all the girl them pass and them run joke, and that's why I don't really mention nothing about the soldier thing, And people run joke with the soldier, them and the girl and run joke, and everybody becomes familiar. And everybody get to know everybody. So you don't know who I play with who for family and what are going on. So that's why something you see somebody jump up on a soldier, it just come like them a friend now and you don't know. You understand? Because we are watching a video, seeing this Zozo thing. These soldiers out on the road too long now. This Zozo thing where every soldier know everybody in the community and it's a joke thing.
Yeah.
You understand? But I can leave with this, Miss Lynette. Say if we don't change the constitution quickly, get this thing together, and that's where when name I say the baby have to go born for really. We have to wipe the system, both PNP and GLP, clean these politicians.
All right, sir, I hear you. I
Start
hear you.
some fresh politicians and some fresh people to get this country together.
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much.
Thanks, Raspal. Of course, Pastor Percy and I believe that adults can be reborn. Can a man be born again except by re-entering his mother's womb? We say yes. Is there a caller on the line? Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, Miss Minute. Good morning, you and Pastor.
Good morning.
Good morning, St. Elizabeth.
Although it gone already, it was from yesterday, but to you, Miss Minute, I'm wishing you a happy Mother's Day.
Thank you very much.
And I don't know if you don't have this song here by Jabez. I would request it for you. Mother of the Year by Jabez.
All right.
I don't know if you have it,
They
but
will
I'm going
hunt
to
it down.
request it for you.
Thank you. I hope you had a lovely day as well with your children, or if it was on your own, with the love of your children present in your ears.
Yes, ma'am. And me have a little voice here if you add to me little piece.
Yes,
you know.
let's hear it.
Well, when you see what going in Jamaica, Miss Minute, at two, what you say, at two around Jamaica. One for the rich, one for the poor. For as far as when you see poor people don't have no talk in Jamaica. So the only thing we can say is we know ourselves, And we have to know what we say. For we don't have nobody where business with you. No government, no business with poor people. You see? We have to business with ourselves. Because it look like the injection protect them brain, So when they're ready, you see, soldiers turn out some people, I will treat them and I kind of see if I say by injection get to them brain.
Well, that is a new one with the injection. But
I get to them brain.
Yeah, well, the good news would be that not enough Jamaicans are injected for the whole country.
Yes.
To go to hell in a handbasket, as they say. But it is sad. It's sad that you call and you say with such confidence that poor people now have no voice and there's no one speaking for us or looking out for the interest of the poor.
True, Miss Minette.
And
Poor
for it-
no talking in this country. Nobody no business with you. No government no business with you.
Yeah.
Because the way how they deal with poor people, sometimes it's unbelievable. Because you're poor and the person have 2 pennies. They no deal with them, so not deal with them children. So, but you as the poor, Lord have mercy upon us.
But I take it you believe, like a pastor and I believe, that a man can be born again. They say we need babies. We need a fresh set of politicians and children, meaning the current lot and where people are in terms of their behavior and experience. That's
Yes,
not going
ma'am.
to change. But
We
we
can
we certainly need a rebirth.
Yeah, a
But
rechange.
we believe that man can change and reset his moral compass, his conscience, his the standards, whatever it is, and even in terms of our resilience and our ability to overcome what we see and change it for the better. I believe that.
You see this thing like this, Miss Minute, like I tell you the truth.
Yes.
We too dedicated. We too dedicated. We are die hard to JLP. We are die hard to PNP. And that's
That can
And
change
I
too.
think we too die-hearted. It doesn't matter how the person, if he move good, around country good, he shouldn't get more than 2 terms. To show him out and put in somebody else. We too die-hearted and he can mash you up.
Right.
All right, so we're moving towards a change in that. All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. I
Yes, Mama,
appreciate.
and you and Tata enjoy the rest of
Thank
the day.
you,
And so
you
remember
too.
to find KB.
Yes.
I request it for yourself,
All
Mother
right.
of the
All the
Year.
mothers.
Yes, man. I share it with all the mothers.
Okay, Mom.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Yeah. What I say,
Mm-hmm.
the government of this country, of Jamaica here, included the both the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party. Them share the people them in a two half. So what I think when they do a thing like that? Because the government them cause the people off here behave certain way right over the years, You don't think so?
You said they divide the people into two groups.
Yeah, two half, yes.
What is what?
PMP and JLP. That's it, no?
No, if you look at what happened in the general election, what was it, 21%?
Yeah.
So what, less than a third showed up for both JLP and PNP? So
yes,
even
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you, yes, but when I say them share them not two half.
Yes.
One side of one side, the other side of the other side. You understand? So them control them.
And
You see?
I would suggest
Look,
you
man, you see, law in this country,
Mm-hmm.
it's a 9-day talk, and after the 9 day up, it's done.
Okay.
You see, so no strict rule or regulation in this country are too tough.
What do you think? What do you think accounts for that?
If anyone in the government, then whether it's PNP or the GLB, did really stand up for them strict rule and regulation, think that things are run more better.
True. You're talking about the rule
when
of
you
law.
pass a law, man, you stand up feet, just sidestep it.
Yeah, that's we were talking about that. But you see,
especially something beneficial to the country.
Yeah, but you see, law have two sides to it. You have the piece that is the written instrument that people can read and know that this is what it says, and then you have the other side of it now, which is how people understand it and relate to it. So the rule of law depends on people understanding, accepting, respecting, not just the written word of the law, but what I always describe as the spirit of the law. So everything that you're doing that might not even directly involve that law, you are conscious that if you don't do things in a certain way, it's gonna end up someplace else. We're not seeing that, which I think is what you're referring to. We're not seeing that apparent in the society on a wide scale. So even though there are laws dealing with certain things, the rest of us are pretty much doing what we feel like.
Yeah, every man doing what is right in his own eyes.
You see, it's like we're coming like a crab in a barrel. You understand?
Yeah.
And I mean to say, I don't know, because I've seen on a small Caribbean island who is running perfect. All right, there's a place in Africa them called Libya.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know those people don't own no farmer debt to government? Every cent that you can think of pay up, and all the people in that work in the oil mine. Every one of those people have an apartment for themselves and what they call it a flat. Education in that country is free.
But Libya,
can you imagine that?
Yeah, but but there are some other problems, aren't there? I mean, Libya's money has been frozen for how long because of the action taken on the international scale. They've not been able to have elections by themselves. They're being supervised by the United Nations for the longest period of time. Have you been to Libya? Are you speaking of first-hand knowledge or based on what you read?
I've never been there. I've watched the news and
yeah.
I've gone over there. Wi-Fi and pick up all these things. You see
Yeah,
that?
but even the news that come out of Libya is carefully managed because what is happening in Libya is a problem of a different sort that again has to do with issues of sovereignty and how the international community can intervene and maybe even change the shape of a country. Now, if you are right that all this security, that the citizens are enjoying these freedoms and benefits, then someone else is gonna say at what price? What has been the cost of what they're enjoying? When
Yes, you're right, because I think Russia wasn't pleased of what's taking place down there.
So now come to Jamaica now. What will be the cost for Jamaica to get on the into the right place now where see a lady just called, she said poor people not a voice, nobody speaks for them, things are just
But the woman is right.
Yeah, so what going to be the cost now for us to get to that place where
Well,
Jamaicans on a whole feel that they have
everybody have to
something in the
really
cup?
come together, you know, man, and just see themselves and stand up for what them for. And what is better for the country. If they don't do that well, it's going constantly go on.
Can you
negative all while? Not gonna work.
Can you
Because
imagine?
a country like Singapore, I heard that if they want help for them have it, import her. Because everybody occupied their work.
Everybody, right.
So I can't work in Jamaica.
I think it can, but you and I are talking about now what it takes to get to that place of
All
self-sufficiency.
the way from I was born until now, I hear this word, I think it can and it will work, and all know it now work, not gonna work.
What would you pay for it? What would you give up to bring that to pass?
From your boy, you know, man. The amount of factories in this country. You see? Factories that place in Kingston, Bell Road. It take you more than a day to count off all the factories them were used to be there. Right?
Where did they go? Where did they go and where did they go and why?
And this country is still down in our world, in a darkness, same way. It is truth. So I don't know, the whole constitution has got change.
Okay.
But it don't look like it ever work. It will just continue along with God himself and what change it.
We're back to it. It's not the constitution, it's the people that have to make the commitment.
To make the decision to stay with it.
Stay with it, yes.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, my brother. Thanks. Good morning. Hello? Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning.
Morning.
Everything is okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I hope the same for you.
Yes, please. Morning, Pastor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Yeah, doing fine. We have some questions, John, from the CCJ for you.
Yes.
Why was the CCJ established and where are we today?
Well, you know, the CCJ was established to give us a regional alternative to the United Kingdom Privy Council, to which we took our highest, which we used as our highest court of appeal. And it ought to have functioned completely as an extension of the regional commitment that is reflected in CARICOM. Jamaica has signed on to it only to the extent that it handles commercial or trade-related matters. And the debate is to resume on whether we would, in leaving the Queen's coverage, accede fully to the CCJ. What is your thought on it? Do you think that we should have a regional highest court, or we should have our own in Jamaica?
Okay.
What do you think?
Now, what do you think? What do you think?
So far, the only thing you see with me would I go to CCJ is because we have the free movement between CARICOM and we would always need just a passport to go to the CARICOM. But over in England, we always go need visa. So over in the CARICOM, we can always go and sit and hear the family member court decide wherever in the Caribbean. And if we decide on it is an itinerary court, so it can always come to Jamaica as well as it can always remain overseas.
So you're saying you must throw away the Privy Council?
I am not saying that.
Well, that's what we asked you. As a Jamaican, what do you think?
But I just explain the reasons.
So you think it is better for a trade court instead of saying that we can trust our Caribbean nation brothers to advocate justice on our behalf in terms of things. All right.
Remember, say it's not. Remember, say it's not people within. You see, within the CARICOM, you can have judges from all wide, far apart, and come and sit on the bench in the CARICOM said we, you know. So, and no matter say we just have CARICOM judges alone. You can have judges from wherever.
That's true. I think, Pastor, like myself, now I'm confused. I thought you were saying England should always be there, and we can use CCJ, but now you seem to be saying that you're okay with the CCJ and observing and judges. We can hire judges from the same England that we love too.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. But I have an expert.
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, we contribute. Remember, we have a CCJ started in 2001 now. Outside and in 2005, we contribute many hundreds of thousands, and we haven't been utilized in the court. From a legal point of view, what do you think?
Economic or legal? Because we need to settle the legal first, and then the economic will follow. In your own mind, have you settled that question? Do you think we need to move from the Privy Council to the CCJ, or have both of them operational? What in your mind is it?
You're asking me about the question?
Yeah, me ask about the question.
It looked like Pastor didn't understand your answer. He answered.
He say want both of them.
No, he didn't say he want both of them. But you need to understand what he's saying. Tell Pastor again what you're saying. I don't want to speak for you.
Okay. So we started the CCJ in 2001. I was signed on in 2005. We contribute many more cash towards the CCJ, and we haven't been utilizing it.
So you want to know is it how? Okay, the first thing is you maintain a system because if one person use it or 1,000 use it, it has to be maintained to the same standard, and that's something that you have to commit to. When we talk about the rule of law, it means that we're going to set up these institutions to support it, and your best bet is that nobody needs it, because it would mean that issues are being resolved locally. And really, that is what you want. You don't want your systems to be under pressure. It's like if you have a hospital. A hospital is there for when people get sick. But your real hope is to prevent sickness. And you can't complain about the cost of it, because the day you need it, it needs to be in the best working shape.
Okay.
You understand that? Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, I understand that. So let us shift and go over to inflation then.
Yes.
Yeah, because I see it's kind of a little bit struggling, because so many persons have been feeling the burden and for buying the food items, for buying the lumbers, to going towards the buying the food, buying the lumber, in terms of smaller class of people have been feeling it more than ever from the last many years. So we wonder how we are going to move on to get it right in terms of letting people have a better wages and all of that. Those things really need to come into consideration. But many reports suggest that the poorest will be hit the hardest by inflation. What do you think?
The poor always get hit hardest by inflation. By the inflation, poor education, poor health care. It's always those who are least able to afford to pay value for the care they desire that get hit hardest. So that is unfortunately the reality. How you balance it, in many ways, how government prioritize their spending and the involvement of society in fixing that priority becomes an equal part of it. And if you just think about it, when you're fixing a budget, if you're in your house and you have children, you have workers, and you have utilities, and you have the different things, you, the person with the purse string, is going to determine a
what
priority.
Are my priorities based on what your vision of it is. Some of the time you have to hold some things back in order for this to happen. You have a strategy. But thanks for your call. We have another call online.
So hello?
Yes.
We have another call online.
Yeah, finish up for us.
Hello?
Yeah, man. Finish your point, because we have to go to another call.
So it's better to have a stable dollar or a fluctuated dollar.
You must have a stable dollar, man. That is, you're just teasing us now with that question.
Yeah, but that's why I said we have another caller. We can call back East Central. Thank you.
I recognize the voice.
That's one thing I do well. Bless you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yes, my lady. Back again.
Yes.
You told me to
contemplate and
yes,
call me back.
And call you back. Yes, man. So give us your erudite point now.
Yeah, when you say, because I really think about, as I say, my philosophy is enlightened self-interest. When I get angry, as all human beings do, the first thing I do is I think about what my action will be if I should do something. For argument's sake, getting involved in a fight with a man, and the man may hurt me. So because of that I generally kind of calm, I never try to get it.
Man, you're
cheating. And not really. I try to work on emotion.
You're cheating. You're cheating.
No, but you say you're trying.
Either you're telling me that you never get angry, in which case that day is yet to come.
No, man, I get angry, man.
So when you lose control, remember, me say when you lose control. When you lose control, what are the things that cause you?
No, I've never found myself losing control.
Oh, then, all right then. Okay, so then you will not understand how persons get driven to that point. I talked to a lady, she lost control in the face of a policeman because he disrespected her child.
Okay.
He called her child mongrel. Keep your mongrel quiet. Even when me hear it, me just imagine.
What did I say if it was Daniel and you? Eh? You look like you're that fight.
No, but in a case like that,
Yes.
If a policeman, if somebody call somebody's family a mongrel, my thing was, I would have sort of disrespected me in my mind that I would have said, boy, it don't work again with him, because it is below my standard.
Yeah,
so that's not your trigger. That wouldn't cause you to lose control, because you'd immediately see that you'd be sorry for him. Then you'd say, what is this man thinking? When he could look at a child who is the future of not just my generation, but his society, and call it a mongrel, he's condemning himself. You could say that, but someone else whose umbilical cord is connected to the child see a whole different thing. I'm just saying.
Sometimes people get too emotional over things, man. We have to use to control our emotion, man.
But that's a reality.
That's the problem,
That's a reality, That's why I ask you, what would cause you to get emotional? If there's nothing, then God bless you. You are highly favored amongst men. I
can't tell you, because I've never found myself in a position like that.
Man have emotions, man. Man have good emotional conscience.
Or maybe it happened and him don't even remember. Maybe you don't remember.
You have emotion.
You have no recollection of it.
The word of God says, be angry and sin not.
Yes.
We have not got a buy-in to the type of society we have and the type of the laws and so on. These laws and the society, everything was handed down to us, and we weren't even a part of the society.
Yeah.
We can't build a nation the kind of way,
Well, so we know that we are here, because we're here,
Yeah.
And we're real. This is not a pretend thing. So we have to do something for ourselves.
But we're not taking steps. Our leaders lack vision, because they believe that the way to suppress the people when the people get angry and things is to use force and just go in and with soldiers and police and then you have the corruption and people exploiting each other and all that type of thing. We cannot build a society like that.
All right, I'm gonna give you a quote from the man who last had this chair. Dr. Moyston has a letter in today's paper, The Need for Positive Social Change in Jamaica. And early in it, he says, so I'm going to answer you as Dr. Moyston would have. He says, social change occurs when the established norms are challenged by individuals and groups of people with the aim of asserting a new awareness that creates a shift in human thinking and interactions, resulting in the reshaping of thinking, institutions, and interpersonal relationships.
That is so true. But can we get a tsunami? Can we get a tsunami?
Yes, we
to
can.
Move for the change? Because listen, power, people with power don't give up power easily.
No, they
That's
don't.
true.
You have
That's
to take
true.
it from them.
Right.
And the best persons to take it from them is the person who gave it to them.
Yeah, and if we don't get more people who are aware of what is that, be aware of what is happening, and decide to say, boy, this is not the way. Because I hear this thing has been going about changing the constitution and everybody. It's a cop out thing to me, you know. It's a cop out.
No, it's not a cop out thing. It's not. It is not.
Just change the constitution and everything.
No, nobody believes that. The only person who keeps saying that is you. You're the only person who called this program and say that a change in the document is not enough. Everybody else, when they talk about, my brother, everybody else, when they talk about constitutional change, they speak about a process.
All right. A gentleman called this morning and he was saying about the factories them. That was on Belly Road and all the things and the factory them gone. And it's remarkable why we have to change the constitution. What the constitution have to do is
but come on. I mean, we don't have enough time for him to say everything. Like, no, we're up on the 9:30 break.
It's the type of way most people think in this country. I have around people now when you hear them say, "Boy, we have to change the constitution now." I say, why we change? What
I'm
is
gonna.
the constitution?
All right. So we're
and the way our economical.
All right. We're up on the break. 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 And I'm gonna give you the
or
link.
you can call back. But we're gonna
There's a
take the
link.
break
There is
now.
a link. There is a link.
All right.
Give me 2 minutes.
Okay,
more.
good. Just wait for us then. Thank you.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best FM.
Welcome back. Go ahead, my brother. Finish up your point.
We have some key areas and some key individuals in this country that we need to for the society to work properly.
One.
The Commissioner of Police, the Chief of Staff of the Army,
Yeah.
the Director of Public Prosecution, the Prime Minister, those individuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't find a way to get credible and competent individuals to manage those posts, if we could have changed the Constitution 1 million times, and if we don't have the people to draw from to fill those positions, we're going at the same problem we're in right now.
All right.
That is my point. That's what I'm driving at, you know.
All right.
I say that we must change the Constitution, you know.
But there's nothing wrong with your point. The only fault I find with how you place your argument is that you're usually assuming that the persons who make the point about changing the Constitution don't feel like you do that we need the right people, the right training, the right resources and institutions. You think that they're just relying on a change to the document.
We're scraping the barrel. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel to get police. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel to get politicians. We're scraping the barrel to get liars. I just scrape the barrel bottom of the barrel to get individuals.
But you notice that all of your statements begin with we. So now we are scrape the barrel.
Yeah, man.
So the change has to take place
This
with
from
us.
us.
So
Yeah,
we
man.
have to challenge it.
It's we produce these individuals, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Drop from sky, you know.
All right,
All right,
you
that's
just took away Pastor's point.
No, but
because
that's
I think
all right.
he wanted to
No,
remind
but
you.
okay.
All right, I think we do have another caller online. So thanks very much. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Good morning to the two hosts of the program and the engineers and all of that. I was just going to hang up, because I was saying,
Yeah, man, it's all right. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I'll take your complaint.
Yes, man.
Yeah, man. We have to remember time. Time is the essence.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Essential. I just want to show something to essential.
You're all over the place. You're on RGR. You're you're all already. And essential. I'm asking you. You get two show. You know, just sometimes we have to consider the other people. I'm trying to get in. A lot of people trying to get in the show.
Okay.
So essential. You know, we know that you're intelligent and we know that you have the questions, but you know. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So what's your point, though? What's your point?
Yeah. This program is a different program. And this program come with a difference. And, you know, we're loving it and we don't want it go down. I mean, the questions that we ask is relevant because it's time. But essentially, in the RGR, I'm on nationwide. And in the all over the place. Essential, not beg you. Nobody kill that one, cool.
All right, then. Remember, so we need to link up, you see? Yeah. Welcome,
okay,
Carl.
that call is, I love that caller. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yeah, man, that caller a while ago. I'm a favorite caller, you know.
I do like him, I tell you.
Yeah, man, the virgin thing. Just tell you right in your face.
Yeah. But what I love the fact that he understands the heart of what we're doing and he protects it. That just warms my spirit.
Yeah, what more have to tell Portmore? Constitution is law, you know. Is law. When we have to want to change the constitution, we mean set laws that go for rich and go for poor. So constitution, I know all about constitution like we have said. Change the constitution.
It's a living document.
We want to set law where we can lock up politicians.
Well, I think he's...
Lock up. Hold on. Easy to do things. If you do one thing over and over the same way, if you don't make a change, you can't know if no change is all going. You understand? So I'm not really class to be long. But just have to tell Portmore say changes do a lot. So if you don't change something, you can't know if it's going to work.
But I take it you don't disagree with him, though, that the people have to embrace and work with the change.
Yeah,
okay, because that is what I...
Because, all right,
if you don't make the change, you won't know if people are going to work with it. So you have to start with it. Yeah, man, I understand both perspectives.
Okay.
You understand? And the man we are talking about the factory, them and them thing there.
Yeah.
Factory work like this, you know. If a man are getting things built cheaper in Mexico, he might go move in factory them go Mexico, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the VPO or crowd Jamaica, you know, through the people might work cheap.
But you see, the moment he spoke of factories, the first thing came into my mind was who owned them. Because when we had that rush of people leaving Jamaica because they didn't like the politics.
England, I'm also some people are in England they do own them factories, you know.
Yeah. So the ownership, if I did own the factory, it would still be here because I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if a man find himself, I get anything for work cheaper, I Mexico or China. That's why China have so much factory, you know.
Yeah.
Because the people work cheap.
Yeah.
That's just easy things that to know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like if we don't make some change with the constitution. Constitutional laws, you know. Someone understand, you know. You have constitutional in your house, you know. Your laws and your set, you know.
Well,
That's
and,
true.
yeah, well,
Framework of
here
reference.
what we say here that the constitution is the covenant that binds one Jamaican to another and the people to the state. So it's the foundation of civil society.
Yeah, so if we don't set some law
where
set the
foundation, you're gonna have a problem.
The people are going to use the loophole them in the law them right now.
Get
Just
away.
like forget away.
Okay.
It's like we buy all house out of education money and bike and take much money. You understand?
All right, rest
thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah.
Okay, bless you then. Yeah, because somebody else want to call.
Yes,
all
thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, Mrs. Lawrence and Pastor Percy, good morning.
Good morning,
to you, sir.
Yes, you can call me Congo Ruben.
Congo Ruben, welcome.
Yes, okay.
My brother-in-law is Congo Billy.
Okay, I've heard the name before.
Yes, so it's the family of Congos.
What's on your mind today, my brother?
It's a picture I have to call about what I'm going to talk about this morning because I had other things to talk about, but this one pressed me.
Yeah.
Okay.
This brethren named E Central.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something before.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, I hear you use the phrase and the term a lot of time, patience is virtue. I always wonder why you never completed it. My mother tell me, say, patience is virtue, but too much will hurt you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You see, if you grow your son till him become an adult and then you still have to spoon feed him, it's because you did grow him into a crop.
Uh-oh.
You can't spoon feed people too much. Of course, you have to have patience.
Yeah.
But listen to me now. You see, East Central and the one who call himself Hebrew Israelite,
Yes.
especially the one named East Central,
Yes.
them can go and Cliff Hughes station, go ask them over a question, and Cliff I tell them, say, you answer the question them yourself. Look here, you see East Central, it make a lot of sense. I like how him think. But look here, man, we can't take too much of the waste man thing, you know, man. Come so we have system and elaborate on the things and we have the good idea them we have. Man, no man could have a question like a trick question in the pan, man. No waste time, man. Jamaica not serious problem, you know.
All right. So, of course, I'm completely distracted because your voice sounds just like my brother. So, not my brother-in-law, no, my brother, my brother Robin, whose daughter
Oh, your blood
is
brother.
my blood brother, man. So I keep listening to you, and I'm just hearing my brother speak. But aside from that, I hear what you said, but I want to say something to you. East Central is new to me, and while what is interesting is how much so many of you who call and so listen to the programs and so on, and so you will recognize callers from the different shows and so on, and you know the personalities. It's amazing to me. Persons will say, "Oh, that's Marie, that is Neville, that is," and it took me a while before I got to know the voices. But aside from that, so I exercise a certain patience to first learn and understand who's calling, what they're speaking about. But there is these callers and these programs play a very important role in how the social fabric is maintained. Some of them, they are vents, release valves. Sometimes they're calling and the things they're asking answers something that a man who's listening has on his mind. And there's always a new listener. And there's always somebody who is fresh to the conversation. So honestly, until they try my patience, and you know that sometimes they do, I tend to be accommodating because I want to hear. And because I believe that every question unanswered can cause doubt to grow in a place where it shouldn't. And because I think Pastor Percival and myself offer a slightly different perspective to many of these old questions, we exercise a great deal of patience. But once I have the measure of an individual and I can detect a certain spirit that might not be interested in enlightenment but is interested in confusion, I shut it down. That's what I shut down. I shut down that discordant spirit that is seeking to disrupt an orderly process. Sometimes they will ask a question that they mean to be disruptive, but by the time you've answered it and dealt with the issue in a righteous way, you have actually taught not just the caller something, but somebody else who is listening. So you have said a lot to indicate how I feel about the process that we're in, because it is a process and it is part of the democratic process that allows free expression and for ideas to contend and fresh ideas to emerge.
I could not have said it a better way. But you have you have a concern though. Anything you want to comment on? We have spoken about a lot of issues today.
Yes, I hear you. I understand what you are saying. But at the same time, I'm saying, when are we going to get serious and stop listening to it and stop just beating around or setting whatever necessary and just get to the point?
Okay, true.
That's the same thing that me talk about, you know.
Okay.
Look here. You will be there probably the next 2-3 months before you realize that person have a certain character, and then you eventually take time get fed up. But we fed up 2-3 years ago.
Very well said.
Them all over the place. You know?
Yes, but you see now what I like when someone called me and say, you see that person, and that's what I love about the earlier caller who said East Central. Someone will call, and that's how it runs. Somebody will call and say, listen, you see that caller? Be careful, or whatever, and we take it on board. So there's nothing that I dismiss. All that you have done for me now is say, all right, minute, you don't need to wait 6 months. You can.
Hello.
Yeah.
I love me carrying my heart, you know. East Central, me rate you.
All right, my brother. Thank you very much.
Good.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing your radio.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, Rusty, I could hear your radio. You turn it off?
Why this, most of these calling programs, I'm not talking your one specifically, but most of these radio programs, it does fit telephone company make money,
Rusty, talk your mind, man. Tell us what is concerning you
You
today.
just did.
That's all you're talking about? Well,
No, I didn't tell you, so that's all I'm talking about.
okay, so
I just make a suggestion.
yeah, all right. Okay.
So what happened, Pastor? Or between me and you?
Me and you? You mean the Inquisition, the
No,
church?
man, I have to check out something, man. What me hear anything from you on it, man?
Rusty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
By Thursday, I'll tell you about it. What you want me to say about it? I know about the conference, but what exactly is it you want me to respond to?
So
what do I think about it? I think it was a blot on the church history in terms of how we use our power to seek to shut up people's opinions and views.
So what happened to those other priests? You are a priest and so on when you get expelled. What happened to them?
What happened to them when they got expelled? Some of them started something new and different. I remember Martin Luther was expelled from the Catholic Church, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
but I see him pastor them do it, man.
Yeah, but
because they never agree with the match anyway.
Yeah, and Rusty, you're
Anyway, I know that we talk about.
Yes,
What I call to talk about, you see?
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead, Rusty.
I think this government came to power, you know, on the basis of corruption, you know. Because in our first term, the amount of corruption that was in the first term, you know, the government didn't deserve a second term, you know. So what we get in now, you know, is what we bargain for, you know.
Is that they paid us for, or we paid them for? Which one are they?
So what we getting, you know, the price increases and all these things and the mismanagement and the corruption, more and more corruption is what we vote for.
Okay. But I tell you something. There are some things that they have control over, which they have not managed well, and some other things that are out of their control.
No, but look at the corruption. Look at the past corruption with this government war in our first term right here. So it never deserves a second term, man.
Well, the people figured so.
And plus of all, Sadan and does a poll and when the man come out, part of the people say they don't really care about corruption.
Yeah, that's true. You know that. That was a very significant thing.
So the 63% will stay away. Those people couldn't tolerate the corruption anymore, you know.
Oh, so they stayed away. That was their response to it.
That's why they stay away and don't participate, you know. So the few people that said they don't really care about corruption is them go here and elect this government, you know. Plus the private sector and the bank and all these places.
Okay.
Because this government is controlled by corporate people, you know.
Okay.
It's them fund this government and give the money to campaign. Look how the election went. Look at the amount of corruption and vote buying.
But you know,
it wasn't hiding, you know. It was plain, you know.
Yeah.
You could have see it with your eyes, plain, you know.
Yeah, I know persons reported seeing the vehicles parked up right in plain view and people go and collect the money. But you see, while the private sector may control in terms of the funding, is the poor people who go out and vote. Because nobody could buy my vote.
But the election don't really benefit the poor people.
But well, you see, so Rusty, we need
election no benefit the poor, you know.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but Rusty, just think about it.
Yeah.
If your vote is not for sale,
yeah,
that means that nobody can buy you out.
Yes.
But if you think your vote is for sale, and vote buying is not a new thing, it's just that in recent times it has
Yes.
become the major thing in terms of how elections are won or lost. So if we as a people believe that somebody can buy my vote for 5,000, 10,000, a Clark's or whatever it is, then whatever comes, I have sown the seed, so me have to go reap the harvest will come. Unfortunately.
Hello, this money that people sell them vote for, you know, it has to pay back, you know.
Okay.
But a man feels that these money are free money, you know. These money have to pay back.
Well,
and
no.
Is it paying back for
no, and all of us are paying.
In the supermarket and all these places.
Yes.
Those are the people who control the country.
Yeah.
And all of us are paying it. So
all of us are paying
I know
it.
that you're in favor of change.
Hello?
So no, I say
Hello?
I know you're in favor of change. So I
Yeah.
don't doubt that what you're saying is that persons need to be aware that this is the price. When you sold your vote for $6,000 or $20,000, you are now paying for it. You're paying back that is a hefty loan.
When election over, you know, we have to pay back that money, you know. In a supermarket and all these things, where people feel say when them sell them vote for $5,000 and $10,000, it's free money. It's not free money.
Okay.
But the more sobering thing to what you're saying is if people believe that the only value they will ever get out of the political system is what you collect for your vote. Because really, if persons were rightly recognizing the true cost of that, they wouldn't take $6,000 or whatever the money is. I used to hear $6,000.
That's the thing I'm talking about.
If they so part of our
That's
job
what
here
I'm
now,
saying.
Rusty, is
Because
to
these people go out and sell them vote for $5,000 and all these type of money. And when election over, they have to pay back in the supermarket. Those money, that money is corporate Jamaica money, you know. Rich people money, private sector money.
So it's an expensive venture.
It's those people fund government and then pick the election. Any side they want to pick, you know.
I'm getting the wrap-up sign now, so we have to go. But I thank you for the points you've made. And I hope that as we continue this discussion, more people will come to see it as clearly as you do and will take the right decisions.
I know Pastor no go answer question to me, no man.
Which one, Rusty? May I ask?
We send Pastor go do a research and Pastor no come back fully come tell me what I go on.
All right. I think that is our recurring conversation with you and Pastor. I will speak with him on after the show.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you all for participating in this morning's show. I know we took you on a wild ride. The things we have talked about, tribal sovereignty, to abort or not, the aborted election. I had to say that. But I thank you that you have stuck with us. Somebody on the chat here says that if we paid more attention to what people writing on the chat and less to the callers,
Repeat callers.
the show would